Yeah, you heard that, huh? Okay, well, I guess I'll hopefully my arm won't get too tired here, but okay. So, Corey, let me. Well, things have been going too fast this morning. Let me. Oh, something in chat. Let's see what that is. Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, right. Okay. Let's see. I want to pull up Corey's um, credentials because he is a man to be reckoned
Oh, oh, stop.
with. Now, why would I do
Oh, you know,
that?
I
Actually, it's been so nice to see you again. It's Corey and I actually go way back. What, maybe 10 years?
yeah. Was it? Has it been that long? That quick?
Yeah, but we have not been in touch,
No,
which is there's no excuse for that, right?
no, not at all. No.
Let me see. I've still got an Eventbrite I can't use here. I'm gonna okay. This one I can use here. All right. So yeah. Okay. So meet Grammy-nominated record producer, musician, and songwriter Corey Jacobs.
Ba-ba-da-da.
There you go. Now, I'm going to kind of go through this resume, which is incredible. Um, I like the statement, and so I'm going to let you say it, Corey. You have a statement that you tell people that are trying to be too perfect when they're recording. What is it?
That are trying to be too oh the mistakes are gold, man. I mean,
Oh, that's a new one.
is that yeah, mistakes are perfection is not perfection. It's if
That's the
perfection,
one.
yeah, if perfection was perfection, then opera music would be pop music because those singers are some of the best, most technically sound singers I've ever heard in my life. And you can
And could
see,
you mention some of them?
um, yeah, Lawrence Brownlee, Luciano Pavarotti, um,
Oh yeah.
any of the five tenors, any of the singers that were I went and saw Don Giovanni at the LA Opera, any of those singers, any they were just and Daryl Finney, a personal friend of mine he sang with Michael Jackson for 15 years. He did the
Cool.
Bad, the History, and the Dangerous tour. And I've worked with him, still working with him. And at one point in time, he told me that he was taking lessons from a Russian opera teacher. And
Wow.
and I was like, wow, really? You? Why? Because I mean, if you look at his resume, he put it this way. He sang on not one Stevie Wonder album, but
Oh wow.
six.
6. Oh geez.
And not just one song, like several songs. Like you name a Stevie Wonder, Secret Life of Plants, he's on that record.
Oh
Inner Circle,
beautiful.
he's on that record. He's
In the 70s, right?
yeah, 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
And had to deal with Quincy. But the thing about the opera thing, I was like, why are you singing opera when pop and R&B and soul is your thing? He said, you cannot if you stay in a box, then
Uh,
you're in that box. And opera has showed him how to breathe. He said all we did for 3 weeks was breathe. All she showed him was how to breathe.
hmm.
And I'm like, that is serious. When you get to that, that's like, okay, I'm gonna show you how to play piano, and all we're gonna do is work on fingering. We're not gonna play. We're just gonna exercise our fingers. We're gonna do stuff like this for
You know
three
that
weeks.
it's great that you say that as a musician because I try to get singers to do more, to behave a little bit more like musicians.
I mean, they should because this whole as a I'd rather be a piano player than a singer because
Yeah.
it takes everything. This is just cartilage. So why do you drink and smoke?
Yeah, really.
You know,
Because they're humans, right?
well, yeah, but it just takes so much breathing, positioning, and then you have to take care of it. If you don't, there are some singers, I don't want to mention any on the podcast,
Sure.
who have been told, hey, if you keep singing like this, you're gonna ruin your voice. But that's my bread and butter. I have to keep doing it. And the next thing you know, they don't sound the same. Then and they just ruin themselves. So it's very important if you are going to do anything, you have to do the electives. Like in high school, I was like, why do I have to take this class or this class when all my focus is on here? Those are electives. You may not use them, but in time you will need to use them. So like if you meet a person and you're interested in that person, you want to know their parents, you want to know their immediate family, you want to know their extended family, you want to know the type of people they hang out with, you want to know everything about them. Why? Because you're going to be giving them your essence. And the same with music. You want to do music, well then you need to learn how to read, how to write, or at least know the language while you're learning how to read and write. Because why? You're going to be giving music your essence.
It's right on, brother. And as we get to know Corey here, he has a lot of skills. Um, the interesting thing about the opera, as you know, I'm big pop singer guy, voice teacher wise.
Mm-hmm.
But my mentor loved opera.
Mm.
Seth Riggs.
Oh,
Yeah, and partner.
yeah.
We were partners for many years.
Wow. Yeah, Seth. I mean, every at one point in time, Seth was the most sought after vocal coach in the industry. Like everybody went to Seth Riggs.
Yeah, he was the man.
Yeah.
Interesting that you mentioned. See, breathing we didn't do a lot of. He
Hmm.
believed in natural breathing, which is just breathing deeply, but the way you've been breathing since you were born. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, let's not get too much into technique. But opera, I found one of the issues was because
Mm-hmm.
I was a microphone singer from the time I was 12,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you relate to this because you do a lot of engineering as you're producing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Corey can do both at the same time. Is that they oversing for the microphone.
Mm.
The amount of decibel level that they use in order to make the room ring with their voice, the microphone doesn't usually like too much. I don't
Mm.
know if you've ever tried to record an opera singer, but it's
No, but I've stood next to one.
yeah, okay, yeah, all right.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So they have to make it's like apples and oranges. They have to make the room ring with their voice. There were no microphones when all that was developed.
And opera isn't. I don't know if anybody's ever been to one. There are no mics, and
That's
the
right.
orchestra's not mic'd, and the nothing's mic'd. It's all about projection.
But it's
Um,
also the hall they're in.
yeah, true, true.
If you put them into a lot of today's multi-purpose rooms, it absorbs their voices. They can't
Mm,
be heard.
mm,
So they put public address systems in almost every venue now.
mm,
But it all comes down to if I produce, I'm not an opera singer, so I'm not even going to try to tell you I am one. But I can definitely oversaturate this mic by
hmm.
simply going, oh, right?
Right, right,
And you hear that immediately. So, oh my God, got to put a compressor on that guy or something,
right, right. You do.
or let's move the mic back 10 feet.
Right.
So, so
I've
it's
done
two
that.
different worlds, and then you get people like Michael Jackson, you mentioned, who did very soft stuff like "I
Mm,
love you, baby,"
hmm.
and that's
Hmm.
it's a different mic technique entirely.
Yeah.
And so that's really interesting. But it's interesting that you love opera singers too. That's unusual in this industry. So talk about that for a moment.
Well, I work out to opera, and it's interesting because I get these funny looks. I have to I don't listen to it in my headphones. I have a Bluetooth speaker. I like to listen to stuff in the open. So people kind of look at me crazy. Um
Well, I
because,
looked at you that way. Is that
oh,
okay?
yeah. I like songs like Mozart's Requiem and Lock Me is the vocals are just crazy. I mean, it's opera to me is it's not quantizable. It's
No.
very loose, it's very open.
Oh,
It
really?
yeah, it's very I mean, I just love it. It's very emotive and they tell stories. You don't understand what they're saying because a lot of it is in Italian and some of it is in French and Spanish, but in Italian I don't understand what they're saying because I don't know enough Italian. But I've been to enough operas where I can follow the story simply by their melody. So what I tell singers, if I don't get the song, if the lyrics and the melody don't match each other, then I tell them take the lyrics off and just sing me the melody. and then tell me if the song is coming across like you want it. Like you can't tell a sad song with a happy melody and vice versa.
Right. I mean, that's what is music. It's an extended thought, if you will.
Yes. Yes, yes. The melody is the car, and the car is carrying the lyric. So wherever that car goes, the lyric must go. Then they have to match the car. You know,
And even if there are no lyrics, if it's instrumental.
yeah, which is what my personal project is, an instrumental project. My jazz band, my jazz funk and fusion. The melodies have to take people somewhere. So I've been listening to classical for the past 3 or 4 years, and lately I've been into ranchera, which is Mexican music with the two tubas and the horns. I mean, Peso Pluma is one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm just like, this guy is a genius.
Mm-hmm.
And Havana di Primera, amazing arrangements on some of that. And I listen to these different kinds of music because I got out of what I really know I can do, hip hop, funk, jazz. After a while, it's the fresh piece of gum is not fresh anymore. And you have to go searching for something else to renew that. So I said, what else do I like? So I searched in classical music. I went to Pepperdine University to see Mozart's Requiem live with a 100-piece 50 voice choir and 100-piece orchestra,
Wow.
which was amazing because what it is it's taking me out of my comfort zone, and it's putting me into something where I am essentially forcing myself. Not well, yeah, no, I searched until I found something that I liked. I don't like all classical. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, don't put up. You know, I don't like it all.
We won't put a stamp on your forehead.
Right.
You're okay.
But what I do, my playlist is over 100 songs, and I just love how it takes me away. So now when I come back to writing pop or jazz or instrumental or TV cues, or I'm composing for 2 films right now, it comes out. Like all of this stuff that I've been absorbing is coming out. I'm like, this is where I like to be. But back in the 70s and the 80s, you could actually survive off of just being an R&B keyboard player
Yeah,
or a guitar player or whatever, or rock, or which was, I think the 80s and the 90s was the best time for rock. And 'cause you had Green Day, you had Stone Temple Pilots. It was just so great, and they wrote really well. It was a good time for pop and R&B. So today we have so much. We have YouTube. We have AI. There's no reason for us not to delve in to other styles of music and find something else to bring to the music.
Well, now wait a minute. Let me stop you. You're talking like an artist.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
But I'm searching, and let let me tell you something. I found something that I don't think anybody else would find, or has found, or I've never in my life. And a friend of mine, um she lives in my building, and she works for the Oscars, which is related to the Emmys. And I said, hey, I want to show you something that I found. And she goes, what did you find? And
I'm on the edge of my seat. Uh, Cori is still there?
yeah,
Oh,
what happened?
somehow my phone came on.
Oh,
Anyway, go ahead.
also this.
I was going to say, you've got me on my seat here.
This is what I found.
Okay. Got it. I'm ready.
Can you see this, Brad?
Hold on.
Oh yeah.
I got all these things going on. Okay, I'm gonna make you bigger. Oh,
Wow.
oh boy, it was great, man. Got a hot day. Anyway, sorry, Cori. So go ahead. I'm ready.
So
Everybody should be on their seat. Those of you
Ev-
who just joined us, you got to be on your seat because Corey's going to lay it on us right now.
I'm showing it. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, it's pretty fuzzy, but yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me unblur the background. Boom.
Oh, that's beautiful. What was that? Emmy? I mean,
Yeah, that's an Emmy.
Emmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
Uh,
doing with that?
I believe it or not, I found it. I and then my neighbor was like, "Where did you get this?" I was like, "I found it was on the bench at Costco." I put it down, and then I put it down, and then I go shopping, and then I come back, and it's still there, but it had moved, and so I go, I'm gonna just take it home. I took it home. I googled it, Emmy,
Yeah. TV stuff.
and it is spitting image. And my neighbor, I said, look at this, and she was like, yes,
You're
this is
serious.
real.
I
This
thought
is
you were kidding us. No, you're serious.
no, that's a real. It's not engraved because they don't engrave them until
Uh,
a couple days later because they don't want people to know who won.
sure.
Yeah, they can't have a bunch of engraved Emmys lying around. Word's gonna get out. Oh, your Emmy's backstage. I saw it.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that's my whole thing of performing and music creation is your comfort zone is your death zone. Style
Yeah.
kills creativity because if you say I am this type of singer or I'm that type of writer, all at a certain point you're just going to be regurgitating what has sold, what has hit, regurgitating, and you are not searching for something greater. Bruce Lee said it once. I mean, you're in the martial arts, Brad.
Yeah.
He said you
You know that.
must be like water,
Mm-hmm.
and water is always searching for a new shape until it finds that shape. It's in this circle. So
So you're
I'm
probably still going then, huh?
yeah, yeah. So that's where the opera comes in, polka, um Persian music, Indian music, Mexican music, anything that I can get my hands on that makes me go, ooh, what is this? And then I see the influence that hip hop has had on these
Yeah.
different styles of music, especially Indian music now. It's very close to rap music now. And
Well, it's changed the way pop singers sing.
yeah,
Definitely.
pop now is 808s and ace drum machine. It's I was like, that's pop. But pop used to be what Celine Dion sang.
Right. It changes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always changing. And that's a beautiful thing because if music is constantly changing, then so should we.
I gotta brag here for a second. You'll remember this. Corey and I were, he was producing and I was vocal producing,
Yeah.
and it was a rapper,
Yeah.
good, really good friend of Corey's, and became good friends of mine. And I I work a lot with emotional projection as well as technical, and technique should help emotional projection, not be in its way or put it in a bag. And so anyway, I made a comment to the rapper, more on the emotional side. I don't know how to rap, but Corey Corey pushed down the talk button. And he says, "Damn, you just learned how to rap from a white boy." I turned pink. I said, "Corey, I'm pink now, boy." But I took that as quite a compliment. I tell that story every once in a while.
It's a billionaire can be taught by a homeless person. And
Sure.
a homeless person can teach someone else to be a billionaire. It's a matter of choice. Whether you know how to rap or whether you don't know how to rap, you do know how a person is supposed to be conveying their what they're trying to say. And in that being said, the rappers are they spew out words or what was popular is mumble rap, or they just mumble and you don't know what the hell they're saying, but they're conveying something, and is
Yeah.
that something clear? And that's in every form of music. The message must be clear.
Well, you would say though that also goes to music being a universal language, meaning so they're mumbling. So what? If there's music there, if there's a feel, if there's something happening, then you can experience it.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all. Can I take you out of your current state and put you in the state that I want you to be in? That's what it's all about. All the if you are naturally talented and you have a propensity to make beats, why not learn the theory behind what you're doing? I'm a self-taught keyboard player. I did not go to school. I did go to school later on because I saw these guys do gigs and they had no rehearsal. At the time, it would take me 3 to 4 hours to learn a song by ear because I had no theory. I had no acumen on how to learn a song. And I asked them, how did you learn all that music so quick? They said, oh, we just wrote it down. What? You wrote it down?
So you can remember it, yeah.
Changed my life. I was like, I sat out to learn how to read. Now I know how to read. I know how to chart. I'm composing. I'm doing the Long Beach Jazz Festival
All right.
coming up. And I just sent the guys the songs, and I just sent them some charts. If I didn't have that, I would have to send them the music. This is what you guys are supposed to learn. And some of them are self-taught, and some of the chords that I use and I play, they're like, well, what is this chord? I did a
interesting point you're making, because on the other side of this conversation, people who read have learned a lot from people who've learned by ear.
Of course.
Because nowadays you have to do both if you're going to be a session player, right? You can't do just one or the other.
With my first audition, my audition with Lauryn Hill was, Miss Hill is going to come in and she's going to play. You are supposed to jump in and start playing with her. And I was like, okay. So she comes in and she starts playing, and first thing I notice is her guitar is not tuned. So I look at the bass player, because the bass player is going to be playing the root. That's a little bit of theory. And so if the bass player is playing the root, all I have to do is find that note. He's looking at her her hands on the guitar, and she's playing power chords. If you know what power chords, they're just bar chords.
But they leave the third out.
Right.
Because it doesn't sound good with distortion.
Right. So he's following her, and I'm following him. There's no theory involved. And the extent of her theory was, I don't want to hear more than 3-finger chords.
Right.
So she didn't want to hear extensions, which is another part of theory. I mean, there's so much to learn about music that makes you go, once I got into it, I was like, that's what I'm doing.
Yes,
and
you are.
So
this is why we're doing this, Cori, because singers don't get enough of this. What you're saying, and maybe musicians don't either. But you know, I'm very focused on one thing, is that singers. But I did grow up as a musician, so you know, I played a lot of lead guitar, and I did learn some reading, and I did study with a jazz guitar player, and my band hated me because I started using 4-note chords instead of 6-note chords, and ready to fire me, you know. You know, because he's like, wait a minute, you're playing a G chord and you've got doubled notes in there. Why are you doing that? You know, that's open G position. I said, well, I don't know. It's just what I learned, right? And so then he says, well, you don't need all those. So I go back to the band and I'm playing just the 4 notes, and they're going, man, it sounds thin. We need some body in the sound. So it's all different.
Yeah.
You know, everything's contextual, if you will.
Yeah. Man.
But I think we're getting a really good sense of Cori's skill level. Incredible, man. Way to go. Tell us a little bit about your instrumental project.
Right now, my previous projects were pretty much jazz fusion. I'm a big Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock fan. I have a project now that's called Glimmers instead of Triggers, meaning what you focus on in life. And some people focus on their triggers. Like you say something wrong to somebody, that triggers them, and now you're in this, you know, you're in their whirlwind or their comfort zone, which is probably negativity and rage. So Glimmers instead of Triggers is about focusing on glass half full instead of glass half empty. And there's just melodies. I do have a song on there written by a singer by the name of Maya Sykes. You might know Maya Sykes.
I don't.
She's out with Billy Idol right now. She's one of his singers. She wrote the song, and the song's called "Text Me When You Get Home." So that is basically an Afrobeat project. with a lot of Afrobeat rhythms because I found Afrobeat about 4 years ago and just binged on tracks. I did about 30 Afrobeat tracks. Why? Because I'm like, oh, this is new.
New
This is
candy, huh?
raw, yeah. And I went crazy. So I'm putting out an Afrobeat project. I have the songs done and I'm waiting on 2 overdubs. Then I get a call literally yesterday from the Long Beach Jazz Festival asking me if I wanted to do it. Heck yeah, I want to do it. So that I will always do instrumental music. I will always do um jazz and funk. I'm a funketeer, love funk. I will always do this music, but in the interim, I jazz and funk, those are my girlfriends. That's what I do, right?
Yeah.
But I cheat on my girlfriend with classical music, with ranchera, with cumbia, with stuff that I don't know. Because when I come back to my girl, I'm like, look what I've learned. And
I
then
was
I
gonna
can,
say you're one of those open relationships where
right,
when you come back, you've got more stuff. You
where
got
did
new
you learn
tricks.
that? Where did that come from? And that's the whole thing about it is I have a bass and then I could take the music and I could change it. I could change it. Well, one of my persons I've had the pleasure to work with and am related to was Sly Stone, Sly and the Family Stone. And his thing while he was a DJ in the Bay Area was I can do music better than this. I can do better music than what's on the radio. And he set out to do it. Wound up all he was trying to do was make it better and different and not sound the same. And he wound up changing the industry. So
You did.
my my focus is not to change the industry. My focus is just looking for different things. How can I navigate through this um and just remain happy.
Well, in my experience, that's the quicker way to change the industry anyway.
Mm,
Because because you're so into what you're doing, it attracts us.
mm,
And if enough of us are attracted to what your particular thing is at the time, 'cause like we're talking about pop music changing all the time and all that. There's time, lighting and timing, they say.
mm.
Then you've changed everything because we're now following you. But there's a lot to say about the person who tries to change everything, uh, kind of coming across a little bit aggressive to us
Mm.
as our listeners, and maybe we're not quite so happy about that. So it depends on the audience, right?
Yeah.
But I
Well,
like to come to the artist. I don't like the artist to be in my face.
and that's what I tell artists. I says you don't get to choose your audience. Your
Right.
audience chooses you.
And
They
sometimes they hate you, and that's
and
good.
yeah, that's I mean, and that's the beauty of it. You just be yourself, and they'll come. I guess if you're starting a business, you need to know your demographic. You need to know who you're selling to. You need to know what those people do or what they like so you can cater to them. But if you are yourself and you're trying to tell your story and you're trying to convey your music, then there are some people who are going to come to you and be like, I like what you have to say.
So, are you doing much in the marketing? I know that's becoming kind of a thing for all of us these days.
And marketing, well, because I'm putting out an Afrobeat thing, I'm just listening to a lot. I listen to a lot of Afrobeat, but I don't listen to too much because to me, Afrobeat is really, 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 really simple. Classical is not. And ranchera is not. And the way they use their horns and their guitars is not. So how can I amalgamate what I'm learning from this other style of music and bring it into here? So I want to use a bassoon, which is a classical instrument, and put it in an Afrobeat track. I want to use a clarinet. I want to use I have a flute in there. I want to use instruments that people haven't heard. Like people have heard strings in hip hop and rap and horns, but have they really seen a horn, a real horn, like, or do they know what a string instrument looks like? Let alone a bassoon or an oboe, or um an avant-garde piece of or a harpsichord. You know, that's what I want to. If you change the sound, then people will start hearing different things and go, oh, and then some kid is going to hear something that I've done and go, I really like what he did. But I'm hearing it this way, and that's what you want.
So how would you? Well, first of all, that was controversial. So are you using samples, or are you using actual instruments that you can talk
I
about?
don't own a bassoon. A bassoon is like 20 grand, and
Wow.
it's a double reed instrument,
Yeah.
and it's that big long wooden thing, and it goes like so. I have bassoon libraries, clarinet libraries, horn libraries, but I can get a hold of a bassoon player or a trumpet player, and I've done and a tenor saxophone or a soprano sax. I can get a hold of the live instruments. If I can get a hold of I have a chamber orchestra that I can call. I use live instruments as much as I can or as much as the budget can afford.
Yeah, that I think it's a lot to do with his budget these days. You know, you can't afford to hire 10 musicians, so you do it yourself, even though maybe it's not what you like to do.
Right, and stuff doesn't sound. One of the films I was composing, the director and one of the composers comes in and they said we just want to do a mock-up. So I did the mock-up, and at the end of the session, they were like, you know what? We might just use what you just did. And I was like,
All
wow,
right.
because I've also been studying engineering and
Mm-hmm.
trying to get things that are fake to sound as realistic as possible. So, and maybe they haven't heard a lot of, well, I think they have. I think they have. But the way I've been, putting things together is I want it to sound as real as possible. Drums is my first instrument, so I know how to think like a drummer.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your resume you're programming, you're expert at programming.
Yeah, I could program drums. Like I've had people say, "Who's on the drums?" And I was like, "Oh, that's me." You play drums? Like, no, that's a. I mean, I can program because it's again it falls back to my love of music. I need to know as much about music as possible. I think every singer, every musician, even if you don't play drums, you should take a drum class because all
Mm-hmm.
pop music, all popular music, all of it is based on rhythm.
Yeah, yeah. That's where classical kind of disappeared. Was everything got based on rhythm, you know, and it doesn't have that drum kit. You know, you got a whole bunch of rhythm instruments, but then you don't have the drum kit to dance to, right?
Right, right. And that is I mean it's good. Well, necessity's the mother of invention. So if you may not have everything, but you have what you need to create what you want to create, which is like hip hop. Hip hop was just a beatboxer, a guy mimicking the drums with his mouth.
You heard
And
that guy out of Australia?
no, I haven't.
Oh, amazing! He's like, you remember the guy who said, "Be happy." Da, da, da.
Oh yeah.
There's a guy in Australia who does all those sounds and everything. You know, while he's doing the beatboxing, he's adding the horn sounds and all this kind of stuff. It's
Oh,
crazy.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
Bobby McFerrin, that's who.
yeah. Bobby McFerrin. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Different than Bobby McFerrin, but pretty wild. So
Yeah.
something I was trying to think about. I wanted to ask you.
Uh-huh.
So, oh yeah, we were talking about how this. Oh, I know. What I was going to say. I was going to add to what you said. It was a seminar, and this girl asked me, you know, should I play an instrument to be a singer? And I said, well, it would help you a lot. I said, one of the things that you don't understand, or at least you can find out for yourself, go back to Billboard magazine,
Mm-hmm.
many issues as you want, go back, I don't know, 40, 50 years if you like,
Mm-hmm.
and you will find if you look at the average artist that is making money, it's the musician singer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the singer who doesn't play anything or doesn't write.
Mm-hmm.
It's the singer, it's the musician, writer, singer.
Mm-hmm.
They still command the charts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then I told him the story about Carole King. We don't need to get don't need to get into that, but she proved, at least in the '70s anyway, that people wanted to hear it from the original artist.
Mm-hmm.
Aretha Franklin had sang her songs, and she sold more records than Aretha Franklin did of Natural Woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, obviously there's something going on here that we need to pay attention to, right? Um, So you obviously would agree with that.
I completely agree with that. I think that today we are in a drag and drop society where you drag in a loop and then you drag in another loop, and our DAW can make those two loops work together. But I've worked with or I known some artists who have come to me and they say, "Yeah, I like this loop, but I want to take that little sound out of it." And I'm like, "Aha." But if you knew your theory, you could recreate that loop, and then put in it what you want. If you knew how to play drums, you could recreate the drum loop, and you could put in it or take out whatever you want. It's just a matter of the 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 skill matching the idea, the eye hand coordination. But now you've got this idea in your head, but you don't have the coordination with your hands or the skills in your hands to recreate that. What I do is, in the composing, the composer who was a tap dancer, a ridiculous. His one of his teachers was one of the Nicholas brothers, and he also tapped with Gregory Hines. But he had these ideas where he would hum them. I would play the ideas, and then I would chord underneath his ideas, and put the rhythm section together underneath. But I would not be able to do that in a drag and drop situation. So there are a lot of great producers who can produce music, and the stuff sounds great, but you couldn't have those guys in a situation where, hey, we need you to score this film. We need you to look at this scene and put music to it. Wow, without the right training, you could be there for years. But with the training, you're, oh, not a problem. So that's why I implore all musicians on all, whether you are a drag and drop musician or loop based musician, learn what those loops do, because those loops had to come from somewhere. They're, you know, the DJ has to is spinning music that has already been created, where someone already sat in a room for 2 or 3 months developing a song. Song is developed, it's released, the DJ's playing it, and he's putting his spin on it.
I wanted to mention real quick. So, would you say, and then I'm going to talk to David for a minute, but would you say that it's very, very important for singers these days, because we're talking about having all the abilities and so forth, that they're practicing wearing headphones and using a mic on a regular basis, or at least having good in-ear monitors or very good stage monitors when they sing?
Yeah, you don't want to blow your ears out, but you being able to hear everything is only going to help you sing better. There are some singers who sing, I asked them, okay, are you a reverb person? Do you like to hear reverb on your voice? Or are you not? Do you like to hear your voice dry? And I think wearing headphones all the time and being in front of a mic all the time, because what happens with and I had a situation where a friend of mine brought in someone he thought could really, really sing. But as soon as I put the headphones on him and stuck him in front of the mic, he got what I call mic fright, where it's like this
I like
pressure.
That. It rhymes.
This pressure. Now I have to sing. It's the same thing as, okay, you got the football helmet on, you got the gear, you got the cleats, and now you're out in the field. You gotta perform.
Somebody just hit you. Now what do you do? That's the old Mike Tyson thing, right?
Woo!
Everybody's got a plan until they get hit.
Man, and the same thing. It's like, wait a minute, I'm about to get in the ring with Mike Tyson. I don't care how old he is. He's still Mike Tyson. But if he was in the ring all the time, like Roy Jones, when Roy Jones fought him, Roy was like, I've been doing this years. I can get in the ring with this guy. But if you get someone else who's not used to that type of power or that type of skill level, he was trained by Customato, for Pete's sake. Wow. Like, how are you, but my thing is to get rid of mic fright, record as much as you can. So when you get in front of the mic, it's not it's like, oh, I'm familiar with this. This is not anything that's foreign to me.
So you're working with one of my students right now, Olga. I want to thank you for helping her with her writing and so forth, you and Mayat.
My yeah.
These guys are great guys. And Mayat's here, but we'll be able to talk with him later when we get into Q&A. But FarPlay is a what's called a low latency software app, and I use it exclusively in my teaching because it forces my students to wear headphones and microphones, and it also forces them to do some mixing. They have to control the volume between their voice and the music.
Nice.
Yeah, and the one, obviously I think the reason you would like that is because when they come to you, they're not going to have mic fright. And the other thing is they're going to have some sense of how to talk to you. Like, could you bring my voice up in the cans a little bit? I'm not quite balanced, And a fellow I interviewed, you may know Matthew Shell, he's also a Grammy member. But he was talking about this fellow he was producing, and they were in a higher end studio, and in the vocal booth they had a mixer for him, so he could control his own headphones with a mixer.
Yeah, I've done sessions like that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm like 100% behind that, boy. I'll tell you.
Oh man, and I think that every producer should also learn how to mix.
Yes,
And I think it's all production is all encompassing. It's all production. That's what I think. It's just like, hey, well, to avoid mic fright, let's get you to mix your own vocal until you feel like you like it. That's good. That's mixing. That's right. Blending the music with with your vocal. I think it's all important.
Well, you mentioned reverb earlier, and we kind of brushed by that really quick at the very beginning, that I'm on reverb. And a lot of people don't use reverb in these kinds of things because, well, it's not really necessary. But, if I'm in a room that resonates, you're going to hear reverb. But the rooms we live in now don't resonate. So all reverb does is put it back. I'm only using enough to put it back to make this room make it sound like I'm in a live room.
They call
of course,
it slap.
I know in production you guys will use a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And I know music tends to eat reverb. Like this amount of reverb right now is fine, but if put me on 5 other instruments that are quite loud that I'm mixing in with, then I'm going to have to crank up the reverb or it's going to be gone, right?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, David, I was talking to David. See, FarPlay does things I don't know about, and FarPlay also has crossover talk, which we don't even have right now. If I'm talking, you can't talk, or vice versa. We can't talk over each other, right? Because of the echo cancellation. And I was going to use that today, but David, if you want to pop in real quick, if you can, or if you need me to unmute you.
Hello.
I couldn't find a way to share the video with broadcast.
Oh yeah, you would stay in the video on Zoom and use the broadcast output just for the audio.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I decided not to use it because I didn't want to not know what the hell I was doing today. Yeah. But I know I'm kind of doing a little plug for FarPlay, but it's something I really believe in, and I want people who are here to talk about singers to know about it. And if you're using it, if you're not using it with me, that's fine. If you're not even using it to do a low latency session with somebody, put it on your computer just so you have the ability. It's a very simple DAW, if you will, a digital audio workspace. Very simple, very easy to learn to use, and I recommend that my students use it even during rehearsal because there's not, it's just great. And of course, if you really want to get into it, like Cori's talking about, then of course you should get mixers, and you should maybe use Ableton or Logic or Pro Tools or whatever. Get really heavy into it. But FarPlay is like this very basic thing that you could get started with. So even if you're not working with a voice teacher or anyone who uses it, get it anyway. There's a free version of it. Yeah. There's a free version of it, and you can play with it, and of course people could get. I know Olga wants to use it with you, Cori, because it makes it just a little bit easier for her to hear what you're doing and what you're trying to get her to do. And I talked to Maya a little bit about it. But anyway, we can move on from there. Thanks, David, for answering my question. Okay, Cori, so this is very vocal-centric, if you will, these podcasts.
Mhm.
And why would I do a broadcast? I'm a vocal coach. I mean, who does vocal coach broadcasts with producers, right? And that's why I've decided to call myself the radical vocal coach, which could be taken two different ways. But the way I mean it is just that I do things differently. I think differently, kind of
Mhm.
like you do, Corey. You think, you question. I was going to ask you, what do you know what your IQ is?
I may be in the single digits. No, I don't know what my IQ is, but I've heard I think 140 is like genius level. 120 is
Yeah,
I
you're.
have no I haven't taken that. I haven't taken an IQ test.
Well, I'd say it's very high.
Oh, you
For some,
okay?
because you're able to absorb so much. I mean, it's not only the drive you have,
Mhm.
which is tantamount. I mean, almost everybody who's successful knows that tenaciousness is a big deal, and having internal drive, because other people aren't going to do it for you, right?
No, they aren't.
But the fact is you've been able to absorb so much, and then use it in all kinds of different applications is one of the reasons I wanted to have singers listen to you today, because I tell them these things, but I'm just a vocal coach. I'm not the producer. So, Corey, tell us a little bit about. I know we've talked about microphone fright. What abilities would you like to see a singer have before they come to you and say, "Hi, I'd like to hire you," or maybe you've decided to go to the singer for whatever crazy reason, and you've said, "I want to produce you," right? Which doesn't happen too much anymore these days because we don't have the record companies to back you. But I mean, without a grocery list, just kind of casually talking, what things would you want to see from that singer? What abilities do you think that they should really focus on to get ready?
I listen for a unique tone.
Okay.
And if it's a singer, I listen for their lyrics. What are they singing about? And I always say send me a link to your stuff. And then I listen for synesthesia. I need to be able to see what you're singing about, or I need to be able to feel. You're hitting my sense of hearing, but can you hit my sense of taste, feel, um, eyesight, see? If a picture is really good of an apple, oh, you can taste that apple. You can feel the crunch in it. So if a lyric is really perfect and the melody matches the lyric, that's what I listen for. Oh my God. You might not even be the best singer in the world. You might be a Joe Cocker, but you're not the greatest singer in the world, or a Mick Jagger, or even Macy Gray,
Or Bob Dylan.
or Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
But what they brought to the table was like, okay, I'm not the greatest singer, but listen to my lyrics. Listen to what you know, Blackbird singing in the dead of night, and
Oh
listen to
yeah.
the melody on that song. Whoa. That's why it's a standard. It's a hit. So, and I then when that is done, now I look for technique. How are you breathing? How are you staying in pitch? Because I don't want to pull up auto tune, and I mean, Daryl told me, the singer from Michael Jackson, he said, "Don't you dare put that, don't you dare put that auto. I'd rather re-sing it than have you put auto tune on it."
I
So
was
that's
doing a
what
vocal production, and I found out the engineer had already put the auto tune on. I said, "What? Turn that off."
turn it up. Auto tune for a real singer is
An insult.
it's an insult. But now check this out. Michael Jackson sold the most records, right? So there is a YouTube video of there's this guy, he has a bunch of YouTube videos of the raw tracks from Michael Jackson's records. So he played back harmonies from some of his hit songs, like PYT, from Off the Wall, and some of the harmonies are flat and
Yeah.
some of the harmonies are sharp, but when you play them together, you
Yeah.
get this. And he said himself, wow, I would have probably resung that or tuned it. But that proves that perfection is not perfection. That people still felt it despite the discrepancies in what we think is perfect. Or
Or like you're saying, perfect isn't perfect, not despite, but because of.
right.
It's
That's
the
what
mistakes that make the colors.
Roses grow from dirt.
Yeah. This guy's got to. You're gonna have to send me a text with all these sayings. I mean, man, it's great. I go back and listen to the recording and write them down, I guess. But
But you need that, because resistance is going to help you be good. You know, we have to have something to combat. AI is great. Don't get me wrong. It'll. So
very
I'll
cool.
type something in the AI, boom, and I'll say, oh, I can make that way better than that. But the idea is there. So now, but a singer comes in, you better be okay. So this is what I've worked with Sly Stone closely. I've done sessions with him with Daryl and some of the best singers that I've ever heard, and he gives them all 2 takes. He doesn't care who you are. And I asked him, why do you only give people 2 takes? I mean, he says, well, if you ain't got it after 2 takes, you ain't gonna get it, because now you're getting generation and generation, and then everything starts to decline before it peaks. He's saying after 2 takes, you've already peaked. Anything after that, you're gonna plateau. You may peak again, but he ain't got time to wait for that. You know,
and then you start overthinking.
right. That's it, Brad. That's so you look for people who can hear a song, or when they're writing, oh, I have to drop this. And what you drop just might be the vocal, because you may not be able to get that vocal to be better than that. I've heard demos where I'm like, oh, perfect example. Album of the year, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. Those songs on that album were recorded on a VS, I think 1680, in Glenn Ballard's living room, or was it Alanis Morissette's living room? And they transferred the demo vocals over to Pro Tools and then mixed it there. So I got this idea, let me drop it on the 1680, and couldn't regain that same vibe. So they used that recording. So when you get an idea, you want to drop it as best as you can, because if we're being water or smoke, we will never hit that shape again.
That's right.
Shape is gone.
Everything's in motion. So you probably, if you're not familiar with this story, I'm sure it'll make sense to you. Linda Perry and Christina Aguilera. Okay, so Linda Perry, the producer, Christina Aguilera. Well, Linda produced Beautiful, that Christina sang. Okay, so she got what she wanted. She said, this is perfect. This is great. And they released, I mean, I don't know if they'd released it yet, but Christina kept insisting she could do it better. And I'm sure you've run into this. So Linda said, no, you cannot. I'm done. This is fantastic. I don't want to spend any more time on it. And Christina says, well, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to work on it, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you. I mean, I'm doing a lot of adding into the story here. But basically what happened is that Linda said, okay, all right, we'll give it a try. Christina comes back in the studio, starts singing, I don't know, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever. She says, okay, that's it. Forget it. We're not doing this anymore. The perfect one is the one we've got. We're not playing with this anymore.
That is, I mean, when I'm writing as a keyboard player, the first thing I play is going to be what I need. And sometimes I'll play and I might go back in and adjust certain things, but I find myself hard pressed to, I got to recreate this vibe. And sometimes it's just a once in a lifetime thing. I've gotten ideas that just remain ideas because that's the best element that they belong in. It's like, I can't take this idea and embellish it. Not now. It may be years down the line. I'll hear it and go, oh, now I know what to do. But in that moment, in that second, in that time, that is the best. That's your Grammy. That's your award. That's your money. And we can't take that for granted, which is why there are producers and a lot of beat makers use loops, because those loops, someone sat there and meticulously made that loop, meticulously mixed it, meticulously made it boom. So when the producer hears it, he's like, oh, I love this loop. Boom, let me put that in there. But he didn't have to sit there and make that song perfect or that loop perfect. So again, it all falls back onto you have to give the music the time that it needs. It's not about, oh, I made this beat in 10 minutes. Oh, well, what would happen if you took an hour?
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would you? I just had it in my mind. Oh yeah, what would you say to singers who want to produce their own vocals?
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead.
I said the same thing. But wait a minute, singers, it's coming. Listen, it's coming.
Wait for it. I've had singers come in and they absolutely know how. Like Maya Sykes did all of the on the song that's on my album. She did all the vocal arrangements, but I went back and I said to fit what, you know, to be more synesthetic to the song. I think a vocalist should know vocal production. They should know. Daryl told me, the guy who sings with Michael, he said it is harder to sing backgrounds on your track than it is to sing leads, because with backgrounds you have to sing with someone else or yourself. You have, so that's vocal production. How am I singing this? And then so you've got people, oh, I can do my own vocal production, and then every line of every of the verse and the chorus and the bridge, every line is harmonized. And so they haven't gotten to the point where they don't have a call and response. They don't have a, this is the verse and then the chorus goes into something bigger. You have to learn. So if you're going to do your own vocal production, good. But at the end of the day, go to someone who does vocal production and say, hey, what do you think? Get a second pair of ears on whatever it is that you do, so they can go, oh, that's great, but you could have done this.
So go to Cori, folks. Even if you're in London, you know, you can fly things around the world through computers now. So
you sure can.
I'm dead serious about that. You probably have this experience where a singer hired you, and then they controlled everything, right? Because they were paying you.
Yeah.
And they sang all their vocals, and then they came in the booth and they wanted to change everything because it wasn't right.
Yeah.
And then you fixed it, and it sucked even worse.
Yeah.
Right?
To them,
because, go ahead.
Everybody thinks that their voice is unique. Everybody believes that, hey, what I have to say and what I have to sing is going to be unique. So whatever I do is going to be unique. So what happens is a singer will come in, and I've had it, and they have their ideas and they lay out all their ideas, and I sit there and I record everything, and then they come back the next day and they say, I don't like any of it. Well, now you need to trust. You need to trust me. Yep. You need to trust the producer. Prime example, Michael Jackson did, and it's on YouTube. You could look it up. I think it was PYT. Somebody was interviewing Quincy Jones, and Quincy said Michael had called him and said, hey, can you take the strings off the beginning of PYT because it's ruining my groove? And Quincy Jones said, no, I'm not doing that.
Good for him.
Right? And then the interviewer said, well, what happened? He said, you heard the song. And then Michael had to call him and apologize. Same thing with George Lucas and Jaws. Well, did George Lucas do Jaws, or was that
yeah, no, I think you're right. Or no, it was Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. Spielberg didn't like it. John Williams said, well, then you need to find someone else. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. And
then Spielberg said he acquiesced. Okay, all right, you go ahead. And then it blew up. Spielberg had to call him. I'm going to stay in my lane next time. So at a certain point, you have to trust the producer, someone who's, I had one girl, I was like, how come you don't trust me? She said, why should I trust you? And I just pointed at my wall.
Yeah, good for you.
I was like, this is why. Because if you're trying to get here by bypassing me, like what I've done is not any good, it doesn't make sense. But although what people are doing is special, it's only special because you haven't heard anyone else do it. Guaranteed a producer who is worth his weight in gold and has the experience of at least 25 or 30 years producing music has heard it all. and knows all the arrangements from take 6, or most people know Jacob Collier down to a Bob Dylan. They studied the history of music. They go back to the beginning when it was just drums. They love music so much they want to know where it came from. To
Where
now,
did singing come from? Didn't come from opera teachers.
no, it didn't.
That's right.
It sure didn't. But you have to trust the producer to go, I can see where this is going. Or a producer like me, as the song is, as I'm hearing it, I'm like, oh, we can go here. I'm weighing the options. I'm not saying, oh, I see where this song could be. I never do that because I want to be surprised. Because if I could visualize a song and it's at its inception at the end, I get bored. It's like, who wants to? I already know what the cake is gonna taste like. I've already had fried chicken. You know what I mean? What's your fried chicken gonna taste like? And that's where trust comes in. Oh, I'm working with this producer. We really get along, and I like his ideas. I like where things are going. But a person who is stuck in their ego and what they do is so special and so good, that's dangerous. And I look out for those types of people by simply I learned a lesson from Terry and Jimmy Jam, and they were producing Janet Jackson, and they said, come on, Janet, we're gonna go play basketball. And so they went and played basketball, shot around, and just hung out. Yeah. And Janet said, I thought we're supposed to be working. And they said, we are. Because they're trying to gauge whether she's going to be dominant, or whether she's going to trust what they're doing. And she had an amazing run with those guys. So as a producer, we're also therapists, and we're also the people who have to say, look, if you do this, it's going to sound good, but we can do it your way. But we're also going to do a derivative, and we're going to do it the way I suggest, and you can take it, play it for your friends.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what I like to do, because a lot of times I will come in with ideas, or I will make suggestions, and then it might put off the artist a bit. And so I said, we'll just do it both ways. It's not going to cost you anything extra. We'll just do it. But I want them to see. Mm-hmm. And I've had people come back to me and you're
talking like an artist again.
Because I am an artist. I remember one artist, she was used to recording at Westlake, which is beautiful. I mean, yeah.
I did some vocal production there.
Yeah. Ooh, I mean, top of the line. So she went from there to recording at my place in my closet.
Hey, it's the people, not the equipment.
It's the right, but and then, but because of the referral, she trusted me 100%. We did the songs. She submitted the songs, and she got Best R&B Vocal or Best R&B Performance, LA Music Awards. Wow. And called me and said, "Wow, thank you." But that's when you trust, you have to have a motive. Like the students who come to you, they trust you. Brad, show me the way, oh great one.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah. I want to become a better singer. I want to be, so in a sense, you're showing them how to produce their vocals, how to get a good lead, how to sing backgrounds to be good. Because I know some singers who are really great lead singers, but couldn't sing a background if they were standing in the back.
Right. It's a whole different skill almost. So before I lose this thought, and then we'll probably open this up to questions, because there's people here that want to know. They want to bow to the Cori and bow to the Brad.
Please don't.
But, so add on to this theory for me, and or tell me it's bullshit. But I came up with it a long time ago, working with singers as a coach. Never would have come up with it as a singer, and also doing vocal production, and also just being in the studio and hanging around and so forth. So I think there's a thing that I call, and you can add this on to what you were talking about, a redundancy theory. So we're talking about redundancy, and we're talking about theory. So I'm not talking about fact, because it's not worth the money to do a double blind study, but I think it's very experiential. And that's why I'm curious to mention it to you any other, my aunt, anybody else who produces. So when I sing something,
Mhm.
I'm the one who did it. Okay, I was there. I was the one who felt it. I was the one who chose the pitches, the inflections, and so forth. My brain did it. Now, the recording is imitating another person. Okay, what is that? What did that person hear? But the problem is it's not a person. It's a recording. So now I listen back to it. I'm talking to myself. This is redundant. I did it. So, and I've done a lot of self-recording. And one of the things I noticed about self-recording is there doesn't seem to be any sense of feel to it. I can maybe tell you if I was on pitch or if my rhythm was bad, good or bad, but it all sounds gray to me. So I have said to my aunt, I said, look, if I decide to do a record, I'm not doing the vocal production. I don't care how much you think I know or how much I think I know. I'm gonna use you because you're another brain, and I need to have two brains to create a circuit, right? So that's why I would trust you. I need to trust you. If I don't trust you, I'm going to make the worst recording in the world, and I know it. So, because of my redundancy theory. So, if it rings true, what would you say about that?
It does ring true. I think that if you're on pitch, but it sounds like a hollow chocolate bunny, chocolate's on the outside and there's nothing on the inside going on, then you have to look at the lyric. Does the lyric coincide with the melody? Again, the melody's the car and it's carrying the lyric with it. The singer.
Isn't that more of a writing thing?
It's both. If you're singing, you're emoting.
Right, but could I feel myself? Can I listen back to that recording and feel the emotions I produced during the recording? That's where I think it's redundant.
Yeah, no, it is redundant. If your focus is on the singing part and hitting the notes right, then you're not gonna feel the here's the thing. Singers are not singers, they're actors. You have to convince me, which is why I say take the melody off and sing me the melody, just hum it and tell me what you're feeling. And if your description fits the lyrics that they may never have heard, you're on to something. But you will never be redundant if you're singing and you hum it first and you go, oh, okay, now let me put lyrics on top of that. Then you will get it's not going to be redundant. You're gonna oh, that's what I'm feeling. And you ever hear a song and the person starts singing and you're like, oh, I like this already, because you've already hit the nerve. You've already hit the one of the best examples of synesthesia, and you can look this one up, is Stevie Wonder's Rocket Love. That is an incredible song, but the synesthesia comes in with the string line. The string lines, the song is called Rocket Love, but if you listen to the string arrangement, the strings are like a rocket. Wop, wop.
That's a great arrangement.
That is an amazing arrangement because you can see the rocket flying around and the melody. And while you're flying, you drop me down to this cold, cold world.
Great lyrics.
There was nothing redundant about that. And Stevie recorded that, and he probably, I don't know how many takes Stevie does, but yeah, you can be redundant if you don't write a lot. If you write a lot and you're recording a lot and you're like, okay, I like this. When I used to do demos for a producer, which is how I learned, and he did a lot of work in the 90s, and that's where I was cutting my teeth with him, and we would do demos and he would send it to the artists over at Interscope, and they would sing what the demo singer was singing, and they would sing the exact inflections. They may put a little bit of their vibe onto it, but I was like, wow, they didn't change anything. They just like what was there. A true artist is going to sing their song and tell their story, but you have to make sure that the story being told is going to hit the nerve that you want it to hit.
Well, I'll try that. I know if I listen back to myself scat singing,
Uh-huh.
that's more interesting to me because as I'm scatting, I don't know what the hell's coming out of my mouth. I have no idea.
And that's great.
Yeah. So then when I listen back to it, it's all still kind of new to me. It's like, oh, I did that. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's how I write. I'll sit here and mess around and play. And the thing about Logic is it's always recording. So I will it doesn't even have to be in play. It just be sitting there and I will play. And then I was like, oh, I like that. What did I play? And then I will hit the capture function and it all comes up. And then I'll go back and listen to it and go, that's what I played. And then I will embellish that. And I do it like that to avoid a version of mic fright called keyboard fright. Like as soon as you hear those clicks, click, 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 there's pressure, perform. But you don't have to worry about that when you are when you're just playing because I'm relaxed. There's no vibe there. Now I can hit play and go, okay, I know this part is going to work. But yeah, man, dude, music is it's great. It's great.
It is. It's everything. So singers, everything he's saying, even if he's not talking about a vocalist, is still true. Okay, you can apply this. So I'm going to let Olga ask you because we talked about this the other day, and I know she and Mayat are working on vamping. So Olga, ask Cori about vamping. What do you want to know?
Is this the Olga?
Hey, yes, this is Olga. I'll put my video on.
What's up?
So, how are you?
I'm good.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to speak to all of us. Brad, thank you so much for introducing me to Mott, who then introduced me to Cori. David, also thank you. David's been helping me to set up a method for me to record so I can send you something. I have a bunch of notes, actually, a bunch of notes that I don't want to take up too much time. But a couple of comments, I feel like you manifested, or the Emmy was a manifestation of a manifestation technique. Does that make sense? You know how some people like Jim Carrey makes he made his check for $10 million or something like that. Anyways, I thought that was funny. But also, just things I appreciated was integrating several types of music, finding the magic in different types of music and putting it together. That I really appreciated. And do you ever become fearful of, sorry, I went off. I'm not even asking about vamping right now, but
Well, I mean, it's open.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be appropriate for you to ask the question since
Yeah.
we just talked about it the other day instead of me bringing it up.
Yes. But even with that, I guess. But so just with integrating the music, do you ever stop yourself thinking, okay, maybe I've kind of gone too far with outside of what the listener wants? How do you measure that? Or is it just, do you have to become a little selfish and say, you know what, this sounds good to me, and you just kind of flow however you need to?
Well, I think that whenever a big company or even a label, whenever they put out music, they do tests. They do trials. Some labels would put the music up on SoundCloud, see how it does. They would do feedback sessions where people would listen to the music and write down what they thought. And then they would go back to the labels and the labels would decide, hey, do I need to put this out? What I do is I listen to it, and if it hits me right, I'm gonna go, I'm feeling some type of way about this. I'm gonna leave it. And then
Okay.
I'm gonna wake up the next day and listen to it again. If I still get that feeling, it stays. I have a friend that I did a song, and it was an epic film song. And I have a friend that I send her a lot of the stuff that I did. Hey, what do you think of this? And I did this epic film thing, and she she sent me back a picture of her forearm, and there were goose pimples all over it. And I've known this woman over 10 years, and that has never happened. But when I sent it for feedback. But did I get goose pimples? No. I was just like, oh man, I like this. But it hit her in a way where it was, and this is also someone who does music and produces and sings. So to get one of your peers to have an emotion like that means you can trust yourself a little bit more. Like when you overthinking is overthinking when you release it. But until it's released, it's not overthinking. You go back and redo it again. I'm about to put out my Afrobeat record, and there are some songs I'm going back there to make adjustments. So I get sometimes I overthink. I did a session the other day, and I told him, oh, I'm so excited because we were doing jazz, just straight up swing, and he was humming these things, and I was just getting excited on the keyboards, and then I had to listen back, and I go, I'm sorry, I don't get to do this all the time. And then I settled in because it was about the film. So what the listener wants is what you want. Again, we don't get to choose who listens. They choose us. Like your fans are going to choose you. Oh my God, Olga, I have to get her new record. Did you hear about Olga's new records coming out? I'm getting it. I'm going to pre-order it because they like what you did before, and or where you're going, or the message that you're saying. So first person you need to trust is yourself, and then get feedback.
Awesome. Okay. Can I ask one more?
Yeah.
How do you get started? I know some people get this inspiration in the middle of the night and they just have to get up and record something. Or they have a dream or something, or they hear just an orchestra or something in the background as they're half awake, half asleep. How do you get inspired? And then, yeah, we'll start there.
Inspiration comes, I've had conversations and people would, like what you just said, that's a song, and you probably don't even know. It's a song title. You probably don't even know what you said. But you said, sometimes you have a dream, and then you said half awake, half asleep. You can't tell me that's not a song title. And I'm going to click on that, because I want to know half awake, half asleep. Ralph Murphy, who, what, when, where, and why. So if a song title says half awake, half asleep, guess what I'm thinking? What is half awake, half asleep? Or are you sleeping? Or so now you piqued my interest. So that is, now I can go from that, just that, and I could probably work backwards. I could start at the end of the song and work to the beginning of the song. Or I could start at the beginning of the song and work to the end of the song. Or I could start at the bridge and work out. There's no rule to inspiration comes from, and live life, take risk, go bungee jumping. I'm not telling you to go bungee jumping. I'm just suggesting, go skydiving, travel, live your life. If you're single, just walk up to a bunch of people you'd like to date. Say, hey, I'm trying to get out of myself. Would you like to go out on a date? Get rejected. Be accepted. Just live, be free in this world. Learn about a different religion. You don't have to be, you can still be in the religion that you were in, but hey, I'm a Christian, so let me see what's going on over here with the Buddhists. So let me see what's going on with the Muslims. I don't have to subscribe, but because I'm trying to grow, then I need to seek. I need to go different places and experience different things. Because if you realize, a lot of the people who are the meanest and are the most closed and the most closed off are the people who are not well traveled. They haven't been to a different place. Some people haven't been out of their cities. But the people who have been I've been all over the world, especially with the artists that I've worked with, and I'm like, wow, it is so much different in Sweden than it is in Japan. And I can write about that.
Yeah. I actually just had that thought because I've been sitting down. I'm obviously very new at songwriting. And I just had that thought. I can't sit here for hours and hours and right, everything will be gone. I need to go out. I need to go and experience. So it has to be a balance of exploring and being brave and, discovering new cultures, different things, having a new, or just having perception and articulating that in an artistic way. And I have to just get out to do that.
The prime example, there's a kid, he has to be 8 or 9 years old, Asian kid playing guitar, playing blues guitar. And I'm listening to this kid and I'm like, he's hitting all the notes, all the inflections. He's even got the facial expression down, playing all the bends. And I'm like, oh, wow, he sounds convincing. But you cannot tell me there is an 8-year-old who has lived 100 years of life to be able to play the blues like that. Blues comes from a lot of freaking pain. It comes from a lot of anxiety. And pop music comes from a lot of privilege, comes from a lot of, oh, I have everything. Rap music comes from, or its inception was from the hood. They didn't have the drum machines, the beat machines, so they beatbox. They found a way to make music. So inspiration is going to come from your meditation. It's going to come from your manifestation. It's going to come from your conversations. I'm constantly listening. I've had dreams and I've woke up and I've just like fired everything up, or I couldn't fire it up fast enough, so I start singing it into my phone. Because once it's gone, and I've lost probably millions of dollars in ideas because I thought I would remember it. And it's gone.
Okay.
Cool. So I've got I kind of primed Miranda, who's here, to ask a question of Cori. Remember what it was, Miranda? Can you chime in? You were here. Let me see. Do I have to do something to help let you in? I know you were here. Maybe she just left her room for a minute. Let's see. All right. Well, I'll ask the question for her then. Okay. So, Cori, what things, we talked about the studio, but what things would be really important for a singer to know and to learn and to have grooved to work with you live?
Oh, live, like on stage. Oh, that a live performance, man. That's the epitome, because now you get to in the studio, you have to connect with the song and through the producer, unless you know unless you've done enough recordings. But on the stage, now you get to connect with the audience. And what you do, they play a part too, because at the end of the song, blah, da, da, boom. What's the audience's part? They know that part innately. So in the beginning of the song, when you come out, now you come out with a fanfare, much like in the king's court. Before you approach the king, you've got the guy, da 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 da, from the Duke of York is coming to talk to you, da, da, and the king sits there and he goes, they know their part. Live, study the greats that have done it on stage. Michael Jackson, Beyonce, great entertainers. It's about entertaining. Prince. These people could sing their butts off, but they knew the value of entertainment. They didn't just stand there and let you absorb their voices. Only a few people who can do that. Sade, Luther Vandross. People are just amazed and they're not dancing. They're just standing there singing. Everybody can't do that. So in a live situation, if you're standing there, you need to be walking around. You need to entertain people. You need to make eye contact. Those are the things that I look for. And no mic stand. I went and saw an artist, and I was gorgeous, like she was in heels. She was like 6'3". Wow. Like I was looking up at her. Gorgeous, like, flat stomach, just gorgeous. Everything was just badass about her. Except when she went on the stage, it was the whole band was rocking out and she was just kind of there. And I told the guys who put it together, I was like, man, go take that mic stand from that girl. She was standing behind the mic stand. And they were like, yeah, well, we tried to tell her. It's like, bro, do you know where you're at? These people talk. Go take the mic stand from her. She needs to be more animated. She had everything going for her except being able to connect with the audience, being able to make the eye contact, being able to entertain people. Great voice, but it was all about her voice. Like Michael Jackson could sing, but he didn't all the time. He danced. Prince, same thing. Even Chuck Berry did the little duck walk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's you have to find something that's visual for people to connect with. That's what I look for live. I don't look for people who, if you stand there, I'm gonna say you need to move or give me the mic. You don't get a mic stand. You need to move. You need to entertain.
Give me the mic.
Right.
Do
Give
it
me,
myself.
yeah, exactly. So in a live situation, I think the most important thing about that is what you do at rehearsal, you're gonna do at the show. I've done rehearsals with people and they're like, well, at the show, that's when I'm gonna bring it. And then at that show, they brought what they brought to the rehearsal. There was nothing different.
Right.
So you rehearse the
any
show.
technical things? Here's a question that this really comes up a lot with singers, and we've already talked about it, but let's put it in context. If what they're thinking they need to do to be ready to be in your band is have perfect pitch and perfect rhythm and great vowel shapes.
Great vowel shapes. Depending on the song, I mean, your vowel shapes are gonna differ between perfect pitch is good. But if you're a lead singing, that's great. All of that is great, but that should be a no-brainer. You gotta entertain. I remember rehearsing with George Clinton. It was 5 a.m. We were supposed to start rehearsal at midnight. It's 5 a.m. Okay, George, it's your turn. George Clinton gets up and he's singing like he's at Carnegie Hall. He's just bringing it, and the band is feeding off of him, and it's 5 a.m. It's just amazing. The same with I did a world tour with Bobby Womack, and at rehearsal,
wow, cool, really cool.
This man is singing like it's his last. That's what you look for in an artist. That's what I look for. It's like, do I want to work with this person? Send me some video of your performances, and because if I'm being fed and I'm giving you my energy and you're giving me your energy, then it's a battery.
So there's people who would say, well, I'll learn all these things after I have perfect vocal technique.
What the heck?
I can already see you don't agree with that. I don't either.
No, I mean, that's like saying, oh, could you imagine being 450? I don't know if I haven't seen everybody, but could you imagine being 400 pounds and
No.
you're dating and you're like, oh, well, when I find a perfect woman, and I'll start going to the gym and I will just get in the best shape for her. Like, you tell me what woman is going to wait for you to do that? Yeah, and the same with a man. It's like, you need to work on your perfect pitch and all of that stuff simultaneously while you're writing, while you're recording. It's all encompassing in it, because in order to get there, you've got to eat right, you've got to exercise, and as you start to take shape and mold, then it'll catch you by surprise. That's funny though. Yeah,
I like that.
My technique is perfect, I'll do it. But your technique will never be perfect because technique is always evolving.
Yep, that too. Yeah, especially if you go into quantum physics. Was I on pitch? No, wait a minute. What are those protons doing?
My nucleus is off.
I agree. A guy who was talking about perfection, I really liked what he had to say. And part of the reason he was talking about is because in his world, he's aware that a lot of people suffer from guilt because of the word perfection. And he wanted to help alleviate that guilt. And so he says, look, let's look at it this way. So instead of saying, okay, I have to be perfect, which is like, what is that, right? What is perfect? He says, let's decide what perfect is before we even get started. So let's set a goal that's achievable. And when we achieve that goal, we'll say, okay, that's perfect. I really like that.
I like that too. I think perfection is, I mean, Babyface said there's stuff out on on the radio that he would like to go back and change. Like but it's already out. And perfection is in the eye of the beholder. It can
Yeah.
only be the listener is the only person who can say that's perfect. It's the only person. Don't do anything to this song. Don't re-sing it. I want to hear it the way it is. That's perfect to me. And um we are always striving for perfection. I think this is what I tell artists. I was like, okay, um yeah, these group of songs are good. Okay, now either release them or put them to the side and then come out with something else. And as you keep releasing, you will see growth. A prime example, Alicia Keys' first album, Songs in the Key of A. If you listen to that record now, it sounds like a demo. Sounds like somebody just put some chords together on an MPC and that record hit. It blew. It's probably to this day one of her biggest records. But if you listen to records after that, and then after that, they kept sounding better and better. And so she started growing. So to become a champion, it is not, you can't hit a home run every time you go to bat. You have to work up to hitting those home runs. Yeah. Jackie Robinson didn't just start out hitting home run. Babe Ruth didn't just start out slapping them out of the park. He got struck out. Muhammad Ali lost. Mayweather lost some fights. So you have to say, okay, I've done this. There are some people, and I won't name any names, but there are some people who refuse to release music because it's not perfect.
It's not good enough, yeah.
It's not good enough. But you have to, people want to see progression. They want to grow with you. That's why everybody flew around the world following the Grateful Dead. Because they weren't perfect, but they were like, they perfect to me.
Yeah. So you would, one of the myth busters I wanted to address in these podcasts, which I don't think we've done yet. This will be my fifth, Cori.
Oh, congrats.
And we're going to keep doing them a couple of times a month is my goal.
Nice.
Anyway, so there's people, YouTube, maybe we did talk about this. I can't remember who I talked to about, but YouTube, for instance, especially when it first came out and it said, okay, put a song on YouTube and you will be a star, right? All you got to do is record in your basement. Recording equipment is really cheap now, and you can take songwriting classes and go to seminars and whatever, and you can go back to your little front room and you can write something and put it on YouTube and you become big star. What do you think of that?
I think if you're in it for ulterior motives besides the music itself, I think you should probably get a day job.
That was very politically said. I like that.
Yeah, because
you've got agendas that have nothing to do with the music. Okay.
Everybody,
you want to be famous and you want to be rich, right?
You want to be rich, you want to be famous. You can do that. You can be famous now. You can be famous on OnlyFans, and you could be rich on OnlyFans. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What is OnlyFans?
Brad, you might want to look that up. Somebody type in the private chat and tell him what an OnlyFans is. Don't do an OnlyFans, Brad, by the way. But
Davis put it in here. I'll read it.
So, but there's ways to do it. I got into music years before I realized, hey, I can make a living doing this. Years. I was just loving sound. Before I even knew how to read and play and produce, I just was in love with making noise and grunting and I just fell in love with it. So that was my motive, and now it became my work. I'm more in love with it now than I was then because I didn't stay in a niche. I didn't stay doing R&B, hip hop, or jazz. I was like, oh, what's over here? That's how much I love it. So if you want to be rich and you want to be famous, you're going to be disappointed. Because I've been playing 40 plus years and I'm producing for AI to come and do what I can do in a few days, and it does it in 30 seconds. 30
It's not the
seconds.
same yet. Yeah.
It's not the same, but how quick is that?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That's like the theory, all of that. And I look at it and I don't get mad. I go, how can I leverage this?
Tools.
Tools. It's a tool. It's a tool now. So if you, first of all, it's the love of, you will marry the person that you, well, some people will. You get with the person that you love. Like, oh, I love spending time with them. It's everything about them, the family, their friends, the way they think, who they are as a person. I love them. I'm down for them. And it's not about, oh, I just want to be intimate with that person and that's it. I'm gonna just go someplace else. Because that vibe, you may hit a nerve, you might get a one-hit wonder. You might even be with that person, but eventually that energy, that negative energy, is gonna tell on you. The universe is a rat. The universe will it's a rat. So if
It
you
is what it is, right?
that's what it is what it is. So just love it. If you love it, cool. If you want to be rich, that'll come. Don't even worry about that. If you want to be famous, don't even worry about that.
Yeah, my idea is just go play the lottery.
We
You got as good
can
a
learn a
chance.
lot from crackheads. People who smoke crack, they don't care. They just love smoking crack. They will give up they will sell out their family, they will steal from people for that one hit. That's their goal. They love it to the point where it's disruptive. You know what I mean? I live by myself, and I live in my studio so I can continue to write, because I only have a certain amount of time left on this earth. And so I spend it doing something that I absolutely love. I would do it for free. That's how you know you love it. If you wouldn't, but don't take me serious, some of y'all.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say that, that's as amateurs, we grow up in that mindset, and people take advantage of it as long as they can. But at some point, we've got to say, look, I've been doing this, it's fun and all that, but I got to make a buck, or I'm gonna have to quit. Somewhere. So Iona has a couple of questions. She just chatted me, so I just said yes. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna try to not say too much, but if you have any questions of me, of course I'm here as well. But yes, please, the floor is open. Whoever
Hi,
wants to.
I'm from the UK, so it's quite late here. That's why it's very dark.
Oh, you're the second
Um,
person here from UK.
Oh, you're the second person because
oh,
Natasha
Natasha's also
from London.
over there.
oh, cool.
Where
Great.
are you? Are you in Sussex or
Yeah, Brighton.
right? No, okay. And where
Yeah.
are you, Natasha?
She may have fallen asleep.
Oh,
Poor
she's
thing.
there.
Let me see if she's still
Oh,
here.
you unmute yourself.
I'm like nearly sleeping, but we're good. I'm in central London,
Oh, okay.
and it's
Cool.
outside.
Okay.
So
What's your
Yeah,
question?
thanks so much. I've been taking a lot of notes. But yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I just finished my EP. I released the first single last month, and I'm going to release the next single in a couple weeks. But I just had two questions. One of them, I'm very interested in having music, one of my songs in a show or in a film. And I was wondering, how do people go about doing that? Do you have to be signed? Because I'm unsigned at the moment. Do you recommend any process to be listened to by people that make soundtracks? And also, you were talking about how to be entertaining on stage. And I was wondering, for an intimate show, because I'm performing soon, but it's a very small venue. How do you entertain when you're not able to walk around, when you're not able to dance? How do you keep people engaged if you're just sitting and singing? Thanks.
Okay, let's address the first one, which is about getting your music into TV and film. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's called sync, and
Yeah.
I think in the UK, you need to be registered with a performance rights organization. I believe in the UK, it's either GEMA, PRS.
Yes.
Those are the two that I know for sure. But
Okay.
you want to register with those two. Here in the States, it's ASCAP, BMI, it's CSAC, and there's like a host of others. Performance rights organizations. So what the performance rights organizations do is they collect the royalties from every time your song is played in TV or in film. Because what it is they take your music and they sync it up to a specific portion of the song, of the video, or whatever they're trying to sell. Just say they're selling piggy banks. So your song comes in and you're singing about pigs, and that's synced up. So they call it sync licensing, because the piggy bank company has to purchase a license from you to use your music, and they pay your performance rights organization, which in turns pays you, because the performance rights organizations go around and they say, hey, this is our artist, this is our artist, this is our artist. So what you want to do, with GEMA or PRS, you want to set up a publishing entity, and publishing is the deed to the car. It's the owner. Basically, if you own the publishing, no one can do anything with that music. There are writers who, I wrote the song, but this person owns the publishing. The publishing is the deed to the car, is the pink slip to the car, the deed to the car. You want to own your publishing. Some companies, I mean, sync is deep. It gets deep. Some companies, well, hey, we like your music. We want to put it in TV and film, but we want a portion of your publishing. So it's all negotiable. So the first thing you should do is register with GEMA, PRS, I think, over there. And then the next thing you should do is you have to make sure that your music is competing with the top artists that are out there. So you are, if you're a singer-songwriter, you are competing with all the top singer-songwriters. Sarah Bareilles, that's what comes to mind. All these, your music has to be of high quality in order for it to be in a film, because they don't want something that's subpar, because it's not going to help sell the product. So
is there anything that you do, any do you review people's tracks?
I do consultations. I do
Okay.
listen to consultation. I do that. And I'll put my email for everybody if they want me to listen. And also there's
I'll ask you that, Cori. At the end, I'll ask you how could people reach you?
Oh, okay, cool. There's a bunch of agencies over here. I don't know about over there. Oh, over there, there's okay, if you reach me, I will send you, because I was working with a company in England. They reached out to me, and so they get stuff into TV and film. Now, one thing, and then I'll move to the next question. When you get into sync and getting your music placed in TV and film, it is a marathon. It is not a quick. You won't get placed for a number of years. I think before I got my first placement, I was 2 years in, but I kept writing and building my catalog. My catalog now is like over 250 songs, 200 songs registered with ASCAP, and my catalog gross is probably in the around 700 or 800 tracks.
Okay.
Prolific.
And going up about 85 a year. Now, the next question was, performing in an intimate space and still trying to be entertaining. Now, there's a way to sit on a stool with your guitar. I don't know if you play guitar, or if you're going to sing to tracks, or you have a musician there with you.
It will just be me singing and then a musician with an electric guitar, kind of like a atmospheric, soulful performance.
Okay. So you could sit on you have your musician there. You could sit on the chair next to him with your legs crossed. You know how they sit and they have the mic like this and their legs over. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you're maintaining eye contact with people in the audience. As you're singing, you're looking at a certain person, then you're looking at another person, then you're looking at the whole audience. And as you sing, you keep doing that, keep scanning the crowd, making sure that you're singing to every single person that's there, especially if it's a small audience. and you maintain your smile in between songs. You tell stories about how the songs came about. You talk about your upbringing. You talk about your downfalls and the pain, because people can relate to that. There's not a person on this planet that can't relate to some type of pain. And then you talk about your overcomings. And then you go back into a happy song, or you just be yourself. And because the more of yourself that you are, the less fake that you're gonna be, that you're gonna come off of. So, and that's entertaining to people, because I don't know if you've ever performed before, but you have a lot of power. I mean, they are at your beckon and calling. I did a show once, and I was just playing with people. And I said, okay, everybody, hold up your pinky like this. And everybody held up their pinky. And I just did it to just do it. It's like, what? If you're nervous, they're going to feel it. If you're confident.
I always assumed it was the other way around, that they had the power, but
No.
See, you already gave your power, girl. You gave your power away. Don't do that.
Let me chime in on that one.
Go ahead.
Jonas, and Cori briefly mentioned some singers who are very good at this, like Luther Vandross. But there's another side of performing that some artists are almost specifically this way, and they tend to be blues, rhythm and blues, where they close their eyes, which is considered a no-no for a lot of people. Oh no, you never close your eyes on stage. Okay, but they close their eyes the entire time they sing. Now, what is happening here? We were talking about people will come to you and listen to you if they want to. So if you close your eyes and you are totally into the emotions that you're feeling, and you are not distracted by having your eyes open or by looking at someone, that's another way of communication where we feel like we want to be, to excuse the expression because it's used the wrong way sometimes, we want to be voyeurs as an audience.
Yeah.
So we want to come in and say, what is Iona feeling? We want to be empaths.
Yeah.
And that's a different kind of thing than, and I agree 100% with what Cori said, but it's just a different kind of thing than, purposely looking at everybody. I was taught a long time ago, if I'm on stage, walk left to right, because, instinctually as animals, we'll see people out of the corner of our eyes and we'll look because we don't know what that is. It could be a tiger or something, right? So if you're moving, people will tend to watch you.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So that's I agree. I actually 100% co-sign. So and it takes
I pay him for that, by the way.
You can get practice by going to open mics, by saying, hey, I want to do one song. And the more you do it, the more, and then videotape yourself at the performance, and get crowd reactions, watch your videos. It's just like a basketball team. Okay, yeah, we lost. Now we got to go back and watch the video so we know how we can do better.
Cori, let me add to that. I've also been recommending that, recording equipment is a no-brainer right now. Everybody's got an iPhone. So put one on yourself and then also put one on the audience. That way when you review it, you can see how they're reacting to you, which is what we've been talking about. Are they coming to you or not? Are they reacting to you or not? How would you know if you're watching your own face and you're like, oh yeah, I smiled, but how do you know whether you got a reaction from that smile?
And to add to that, I was at a show for an artist, and her voice is absolutely super duper unique. And if the place was absolutely packed shoulder to shoulder. Wow. The bar area, this is at the temple. Yeah, we were like this. And then she started to sing. When she started to sing, there was a calm. You know how there's background chatter at a bar, especially when there's 350 people that packed in a bar. When she started to sing, all of that went away. All of it. You just heard people breathing. Wow. And they started listening to her. And first thing I thought was, whoa. After a while, it went back into the chatter because she started to lose her audience because she opened up with her voice. And then once everybody got used to it, like, oh, okay. Then they went back to, it wasn't special anymore. Yeah. So and I've only experienced that twice. I had another, and this was a different artist. And Berry Gordy was in the audience at this other one that we were playing. She started singing, and it's just a calm.
It's kind of like the Adele thing, huh?
Yeah. That's when she opens her mouth, and people are just like, "What is that?" And
Yeah.
so
Cori, on that, how could they have kept it? How could they have kept the audience quiet? Is it possible, or was it?
I mean, you have to study that type of stuff. That was the first time. I don't know how. Oh, because I have to see it work. I have to see somebody. The only person, even Michael Jackson, Daryl told me, you know how when you first walk out on stage and people just lose their minds and they start passing out? Daryl said it's like that the whole show.
Right.
People passing out, it's like on 10, you could barely hear yourself. The thing that I think was with her was she loved and was really good at writing ballads. Absolutely very unique at writing ballads. Her whole show was nothing but ballads. So you're gonna lose you're gonna lose your audience. And the other artist who did the same thing, ballads, and I told her, I was like, you know what? Next time I go to your show, I'm gonna bring a pillow because you're just gonna put me.
That was nice.
Yeah. But I mean,
but, you know, I think though you were talking about lyrics. So if the lyrics can keep us attracted, maybe.
But you have to. Michael Jackson had really good songs. Prince had really good songs, but they also had that visual aspect. They danced, they moved around, they gave people different scenarios, and it was just more than one thing. You think about the people that you love in your life. It's not just one thing about them. Oh my God, your muscles are so big. I'll be in love with you for the rest of my life. There's always, oh, you can cook. You're very good with your finances. We get along. There's more than one. There's a lot of things. So with her, it was like, wow, you should just vary your music, and who knows? But like I said, only twice in my life have I even seen that. I haven't even seen that on TV. So
yeah, I've always wondered if it was a false thing. You see it in movies and TV where they fantasize stuff, you know. So I've kind of wondered. I've never seen it myself either.
Yeah, man, it is something to behold. It is really something to behold. Especially because there had to be 300 or 400 people there, and I've been out on I was out with I remember I was in San Francisco with Lauryn Hill at the and they pulled the plug, so the only thing that you could hear was the upright bass and the drums because those weren't plugged in. So she put her arms out over the crowd and told everybody to calm down. And as soon as she started singing, they started screaming again. So even at that level, it wasn't powerful enough to say, "Oh my God, I just got to hear your voice." But they got calm after a while, but it wasn't like what I experienced at that small bar. So it's you want to work towards that if that's the goal. But in order to be connected to the people in that realm, you gotta be connected with yourself. You have to be secure within yourself, because whatever's on the inside is what's going to come out. If you got some things going on the inside that you have unresolved, then people are going to notice that, and then they're going to start talking because they feel uncomfortable because you're not connecting with them.
You can't trick them.
Right.
Okay, let's see if anybody else got a question.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Iona. You want to ask questions, Tasha?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So basically, I just wanted to ask, so this is like more like a technical question. So let's say somebody comes to you and they're like, right, okay, want to do a pop song. I've done the lyrics. This is the melody. Like, where would your brain go in terms of like process to get to because obviously, you know, you're very like experience, you will know like what sounds good. Like, so what does that look like in terms of like input from an artist and yourself? And then the second question that I had was, if you're working with an artist that's like probably going to be signed, is there like any conflict of interest or like any of that like you really need to be aware of?
Oh man. Okay, the first question was what was the first question?
The question was like in terms of, let's say, like a pop, like if the brief is like it's a happy pop song, you know, like I want people to be like playing it in the car, down the highway, freeway,
Oh,
what you guys call it. We call it motorway anyway. But yeah, so essentially, where would your brain go in terms of like where would you even start? Like, do you put pull samples? Are you like, let me do this chord? Like, where would your brain go?
first look at the lyric.
Right.
What are they talking about? What is the concept of the song? You said a happy song. Okay, it's a happy song. So I already know that rules out most of the minor chords. And then I look at the melody. What is the melody doing? Does the melody match the lyric? Is the melody saying what the lyric is saying? That's the second thing I look at. Once that's solidified, I can already put the bed underneath it in just like that. And then within after that, I start looking for the synesthesia. I start looking for what can I see, what can I taste, what is a person gonna feel when they hear the song. Chris Brown has this song called was it Chris Brown? I have this icebox in my where my heart used to be. And in the beginning of the song, you hear ice crackling. Timberland did the beat. Ice is crackling. Now, why does ice crackle? When it's cold and it starts to hit heat. So that's the synesthesia. And you don't notice it, but you notice it. I got this ice box where my heart used to be. And to bring that to more of a reality, he put ice crackling in there. And Maxwell has a song called Pretty Wings. That's and in the beginning of Pretty Wings, you hear these chimes. Now what makes chimes move?
The wind.
Okay. Now what do birds need to fly?
I don't
know. You don't know what birds
I'm not like a animal that.
Oh, okay. Well, birds need air to fly. They need wind. So the chimes, the chimes in the beginning of Pretty Wings represent wind, which represents the pretty wings, your pretty wings. So I look for that because I'm gonna put that in the song. So so it's easy. You do the lyrics match the melody, and then once that's done, you've got a verse, bridge, a verse, chorus, bridge, out. You don't need a lot of information. Ralph Murphy, he passed away, but he was a songwriter, and he said you got 1 minute, 1 minute to tell a story, and everything else is just regurgitation. Like if you listen to prime example, Michael Jackson's "Smooth Criminal," the lyrics in the verse are very similar to the lyrics in the chorus. Like listen to that song and listen to read it. They're similar, but they're different. But there's not a lot of information because it's a song where there's a lot of dancing going on. So that's the first thing I would do is just listen in and say, are you writing from a place of I want a hit, or are you writing from a place of I want to tell a story?
And I think if you tell the story well enough, you'll have the hit.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. What was the second question?
The second question was if you're working with like somebody approaches you like an artist and they are probably going to be signed with the label, is there any conflict of interest in terms of like anything that an artist should be aware of? You know, are there rules that like the label has to find you? Like what is all that basically?
The way the music industry is nowadays, you really don't need a label. That's the labels are the labels are good for one thing. They have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they can put you, they can put you in front of millions of people. Look at Tyler, who did that song Water. Millions of people, they put her on the right shows. But if you look at her agreement, you may not like the numbers that you see. So the thing that you want to be aware of and that everybody should have is they should have an entertainment lawyer who can decipher, and not the lawyer that the labels give you or say, oh, we have a lawyer for you. No, because that lawyer, that's a conflict of interest. You need to have somebody who can read contracts if you want to be signed, or if you want to do independent, or if you have an investor. But what you want to watch out for is you want to protect your publishing. Because if you, once you sign a record deal, they are in essentially purchasing your master recordings. They're saying, okay, we own the masters for this amount of time. And they basically own everything until they can recoup what they spent on you. And then what they spent on you is every time they took you out to dinner, every time they rented a car for you, the home that you may be living in that they're paying for, they pay for all that and they want their money back. So a record deal is basically a glorified big ass credit card. You still got to pay them back. So be aware of that. But at the same time, they could put you in front of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And then when you've fulfilled your obligation, these people are still your fans. And you can release an independent project, and then you can recoup the money that you spent on the project. So just be aware. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so in terms of like if you're working with because at the moment I'm like doing writers and like produce whatever. So how does that work in terms of, because obviously you want people to be like remuneration, and you want like everyone, you want everybody. Yeah, even though I would hire I'm actually looking right now for a music lawyer. Obviously you're not doing it because you want to make sure, like you're not fighting against everyone, you just want everyone to be happy. So is there anything that you need to like be aware of in terms of like if someone's coming to work with you and they are signed with somebody, like what does that look like in terms of for you? Like, is it like what would you do? Would you liaise with the label? Would you liaise with the artist? Like, how does that work?
Are you registered with PRO over there?
No.
Wait, so your publishing's not set up?
No.
Red flag.
Not yet.
Huge red flag. And you're writing with producers already and writers on your project?
We're just like playing around at the moment, like we're just getting ideas together. So we're not when I'm actually like I'm a singer, but I've not been writing for very long. Not very long at all. So I'm like really at the beginning of my like journey. So I'm just trying to understand, like, this is why I've literally got like lawyers meetings this week, and I'm trying to understand that side of it. But essentially, so yeah, so that's essentially me, but I'm just wanting to understand, like, what does it look, what I'm just trying to preempt, like, understand how that works in terms of if you're working with a producer like yourself or somebody else, like what would that mean in terms of for you?
I know that when I start working with somebody, there's an agreement in place. There's something that especially when there's something that has been worked out to where, okay, now we can start. Okay, and if you're working with producers and they haven't talked to you about publishing or writing, and you're contributing to the works that you're working on, and they're not talking to you about it, that is, to me, it's a red flag. So I make sure that there are certain things in place, because it can get red tapey, and the more people you start to work with, that's more pieces of the pie that come out.
Yeah.
So I would try to keep it, even though you're new, you still should get registered. You should still set up, ask the lawyers, I need to set up my publishing. I need to set up my writers. I don't know how I heard GEMA and PRS do it differently, but get a hold of, you can't be with both, but be with one. And find out how to set up your writers, how to set up how GEMA works, so you can protect your contributions to the music. Because, and then if you just kind of keep your circle small as to who you're going to work with. Like if you're working with a producer and you have a personal relationship, like maybe it's like a friend, that's a lot easier to navigate than a producer you don't know who is like, okay, we're gonna do it like this, and then you wind up losing a lot more in the end. So just because you're new doesn't mean you have to be that you have to take it, like that you have to not have everything that's deserved as far as what you're doing. So it's like some people have written songs and then the song's blown up and they have not registered with their PRO. So I would register. That's the first thing I would do. And that's going to protect you. And then if you go into a producer and you say, hey, what are we doing today? Okay, cool. All right. So how much of this song are you taking, and how much of the song am I taking? Or since I'm the one funding it or paying, this is how much I want to pay you, or this is the splits. You need to find out what your splits are going to be when you're working on something.
Yeah, because I saw something where they gave very defined, like I mean I know that everything is up for negotiation, everything is up for like in terms of splits, but there was like a figure that went round. I don't know where I've got this from, but I think it was like the producer's 50, the lyricist is 25, and I don't know where this came from. I think it was, I'm not going to mention the name of the person that who writes songs who did a similar thing, and this is what they said. So I'm just checking. So they said it was 25 lyricist, 25 for the singer, and then 50 for the producer. And I thought that was kind of strange, but yeah.
Anything is negotiable.
Yeah.
Anything is negotiable. But in at least over here with ASCAP, with ASCAP, the song, 100% of the song, 50% of that song is the writers, the person who writes the lyric and the melody. The other 50% is the publishing. So the writers, the lyric and the melody and the music, because the music has to be written and created. So you've got half the song is the production, the lyrics, the melody, and the other half of the song is the publishing, basically who owns, and maybe you're splitting the publishing with the producer or the writer, with the writers. Now with BMI, which is over here, the song is 200%. 100% of the writers, 100% of the publishing. And so then those splits within that go. I don't know how it is with PRS and GEMA, but to say that the producer gets half, and then the writer gets 25%, where's that other 25% going?
Yeah, I won't mention the person who did the
All right, so but there's 75% accounted for, but there's 25% left. And did they say who gets that?
I think they said that I don't actually remember. I just remember there was a 25, 25, 50, right. And they definitely said the producer.
If it's your project and somebody wants to sign you, then that's negotiable. But for me, I like to say, look, if we're gonna do this, it's if I'm creating the music and you're creating the lyric and the melody, that's a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it without you. You can't do it without me, unless it's an instrumental record. But meet with the lawyers, and also there's nothing wrong with doing your own homework. There's nothing wrong with there's a lot of podcasts on YouTube about the music business. About it can get a little boring, but you've got, the more you know, the more ammo you have, the better you're gonna be.
Thank you. Yeah, there's just a lot of conflicting information out there, so that's why.
Man, YouTube, I wish they had it when I was learning how to play. I was growing up.
You're on a great adventure, Natasha.
Yeah, you are. You were blessed. Oh God.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Oh, my aunt. Yeah, I mean, just do I have to unmute you? Yeah, you can just unmute yourself and talk if you need to.
Hey, Cori.
What's going on, Matt?
Well, first, you had said, Brad, you said that Olga had a question about vamping. I'm over here dying to hear this vamping question. I'm wanting to hear Cori's response to Olga's vamping question. I'm wanting to learn something
too, because I gave Olga my information, you've given her yours, and now Cori can chime in for everybody now. Anybody who wants to watch this podcast.
Olga, you there? So with Olga, when you come back, I'm here. Hear this. Oh, there we go. What was your question about vamping for Cori? We want to hear it. We want to hear his response. We all learn from each other.
Yes.
We want to hear, Cori's answer.
So I guess let's say for the end of a song, when you want to make sure you've incorporated every single bit of emotion, every single message you want to, portray in this song, what's your recommendation for getting the best type of vamping?
So you're talking about the end of the song.
Yes, be it musically, vocally, lyrics, everything.
Okay, there's several ways to vamp out a song. I think one of the greatest bands to do that was Earth, Wind and Fire. Their vamps are crazy. And I like the Police in the 80s, Sting and the Police, because Sting wasn't a great ad-libber, but they knew how to take the chorus and then just end the song. But back then they faded out. But when you vamp, you want to reiterate maybe the most subtle points of the song. And it depends on the song. Some songs have vamps, some songs end on the bridge, some songs end with an instrumental, but the vamp has a special part with, especially for me, it's like, oh, we can vamp out on this, or we can even go to another key. And a lot of songs, especially in Motown, they changed the key and they vamped out on that. So you hear a key change and the song lifts. So there's several different ways to vamp out. It's vamping is not absolute. So you have to look at it and go, do I want to vamp? Or is a vamp gonna work? And if not, I don't want to force it. Is this song telling me vamp?
Mm-hmm.
I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
It's very it can be a very broad thing as far as when vamps happen. I love vamps. I think vamps are, especially if your ad libs are together and you can if you listen to the ad libs on Michael Jackson's songs, he is knocking it out of the park. Well, a very popular vamp is Mama Say Mama Sa Mama Kusa.
Yep.
And a
Lionel
very
Richie.
popular thing.
So something that Brad had said, so you recommended, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, on you can vamp on 4 chords on the C7, right?
4 notes.
4 notes, sorry. Yeah.
Start with just a couple of notes, say over 1 chord or maybe a 3-chord blues thing, and just play around with 4 notes. See what you come up with.
Okay.
Yeah, limiting your vamps don't have to be they don't have to be complex. If you listen to Al Green's bump 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 Love and Happiness, and the vamps on there, they're kind of subtle, but you can vamp out on 1 chord. And the greatest place to learn to vamp is a black church, black Baptist church. Yep. They vamp all day long. Some of the songs are nothing but vamps, and that's how I learned to. That's how I learned a lot of my arrangements and a lot of my vamps, because they would take sections, and she would Linda Cox, that was her name. She would just take the sections and just make them last forever. I'm like, how she did? And I studied doing that. I started studying that. And, I found out that, wow, you don't have to say a lot when you vamp, and you don't have to fill in all the holes. Sometimes it's just 1 word, and then you just kind of let it breathe, and then it's another word. All of this comes with experience. The more you perform live, the more you will start to settle in. So, okay, so this is a vamp. But then again, do not get into a comfort zone. Do not be comfortable with stuff. Always be on edge. Always be like I'm on edge right now. I'm on edge. But
putting him on the spot.
I'm on the spot. But I enjoy this. So, because you know how a lot of people, they enjoy their pain because they know it. They understand their negativity and they live in it. as opposed to when people or some people who are happy, they just love happy. They just love being happy. And I had to learn that. And once I started understanding that, oh my goodness, I started trusting in the universe, I started manifesting shit.
Yeah.
And then like, I learned not to be comfortable, not to be settled, so I can learn more about music. I've been 40 plus years and I'm still learning stuff. And I'm learning stuff from people who've never played keyboards, who've never produced, who just made a beat, and I'm going, oh wow, that's very interesting. And that's the greatest thing. So vamping, in short, it's not absolute. However you want to come out of it, just work at it. Just constantly say, I'm not comfortable with my vamping yet. But I'm gonna vamp. I'm even gonna put a vamp at the end of this song and put it out. The vamp's not good enough. Okay, I won't release it.
So Cori, you're a very confident person. So where does the confidence fit into this constant need to change?
But I'm confident that it's like a cat. If you throw a cat off of a building and you throw it down with its back pointing down, it knows it's going to land on its feet because it's going to twist. So it knows that no matter how you throw that cat, you can throw it down head first, you can hold its neck and let it go. It's going to land on its feet.
You must have had a very strange childhood, my friend.
I feel like that's a great way to explain it. Or you could say, I like having one foot in something I know and then another foot in something I don't know, but I like your cat example too.
There was I can't remember where I got it from. Oh, it was a poem, I think. It was actually one of my songs, and I forgot where I heard it from. I did a song called anyway, it's on my what was it? It's called it's called Monk Status. It's on music. And so in that I'm playing a solo, but then I'm saying you hear what he's doing. He's got fear in one hand and passion in the other. And he's going for it. So there's nothing wrong with being afraid.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having passion. They're polarities. Without a positive and a negative, you don't have a battery. Batteries work off polarities. You can't have everything perfect all the time. That's not a battery. So the confidence comes from, I've done this so many times, and I can come, even when we did your session and I heard the music and I was like, oh, okay, so there we go. I love what it was that you wanted to say. I was like, oh, she has so much she wants to say. And you just go into it like, you just want to work with somebody and kind of mold it into and let them see this is where it could go and this is where maybe you wanted it to go, and then just juxtapose the two and then keep writing.
No, I appreciate.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just don't put one foot in the grave, Olga.
Okay. Got it. But no, honestly, I do appreciate. I know that there is so much more to learn. I didn't understand how deep the rabbit hole went, and I'm learning so much, and now I'm very excited about it. I understand, here are some fortes I want to continue to work on, and here are, some weaknesses, and here are some people who can help me. Here are some people who are so well versed, and I'm so fortunate to be in contact with. So thank you.
Are you welcome?
Yeah. If you ever find the bottom of that rabbit hole, let us know.
Yeah,
I don't think there is one.
You don't want to get to the bottom, but you always want to be, because technology hasn't reached its bottom.
No.
Look where it's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm still learning. I'm just like, wow, this is, I thought I knew everything. But I realized the more I think I know, the more I know nothing. I know nothing about this. But that's the beauty of it, because otherwise I get bored. Why do you think I'm listening to ranchetta? Classical Because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I need something else to spark my interest.
Yeah. And I am astounded by AI. If you need to fast track, if you feel like you're coming in a little late in the game and you have something like AI, definitely take advantage of it because it'll open your eyes to, is this a style I want to go with? And even if it's not what you want it to sound like, ultimately, it still gives you an idea. So that's very helpful.
Well, I'm 71 years old, and I can tell you, you guys got it easy. I had to go walk in the snow for 10 miles to get anything about music, just to learn one chord.
Well, I'm 82, and I did not have a PS5. I had jacks and marbles and a circle in the ground. That was my PS5.
Hey, Olga.
Yes.
Okay, so Cori, we're all working with Olga, right? So what I've been doing with Olga is like we're writing these songs and then I present different versions, different genres. That song with different genres where she gets an experience. Like I'm trying to give her a lot of experience. Olga, tell us what you've been experiencing when you hear the different your song sang performed in different genres.
Okay, so it helps me to identify what I would feel comfortable singing. It helps me identify what I definitely would not want want my song to sound like. And then it also helps me learn how much I can play with my lyrics, how sometimes I can be so rigid in, let's say, just the rhyme scheme. But no, you can twist this in some way, in some form, in the melody to just make it work. And you have to remember to, it's the message you want to convey, and it happens in the music. So I can't wait to start working with the music because I think it just opens up another channel in my mind. So right now I still feel a little stuck with just the lyric writing. So I need to get into the music aspect. And I don't play an instrument, but I did get myself a guitar. So we'll see. Yeah.
Right now on YouTube. So, and I play guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're in a really good space. And then after this song gets done, we go do another one with the music. We'll like simultaneously create the music underneath the lyric and the melody. And then you work and play with that. When I write songs, that's what I do. Because I can do it at the same. So.
Yep.
So Cori spoke about the melody communicating. If you guys want an example of that, the Brothers Johnson's song Tomorrow, if you go and listen to that song and then go listen to Tevin Campbell singing Tomorrow, you'll get an idea of what Cori is talking about, because they got a songwriter to come in and use the melodies in that song and turn the melody into lyric. It's a perfect example of what Cori's talking about the melody, the music, making you feel what the lyrics are communicating.
Into that guy in Sweden, I had his name earlier. Anyway, he writes entirely different than what we're talking about. So you just pick and choose. Huh?
Max Martin.
Thank you. Yes.
I love him.
No, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying it's different.
What do you mean he does? What do you mean he writes different? What are you saying he does?
Okay, well he gets a groove first. He doesn't care about the lyrics at first. There's no storyline. There's just a groove. And then he'll start to a melody, and he'll just kind of vamp on it and see what. And then he's always looking for the hook, what he calls the those girls from Sweden as well.
You talking about the old rock group from Sweden that was making all the hits?
It was a three girl group that had a lot of hits for a while. This is a contest.
Spice Girls?
Stop it. He always talks about them as well. I'm like obsessive Max Martin fan. Like I'm obsessed.
Right, but anyway, he says, "Oh, ABBA." He says, "Okay, that hook is ABBA perfect." So he judges everything. If it's as good as an ABBA hook, then it's good to him. Then he starts writing the lyrics. This is just one thing I heard. And then he doesn't even care if they make sense sometimes. The lyrics mean absolutely nothing at all. If he's got this groove going, if he's got this feel going, then he's happy. And he also is doing a lot of co-writing with Taylor Swift as well, which is interesting.
And
Taylor
another
seems very
example,
lyrical to me.
another example would be Sledgehammer by Robert Palmer, and he writes the exact same way. He'll just, I mean, a lot of writers I know, they'll play the track and they'll just hum and start singing whatever over the track. Doesn't have to make sense and blah 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 blah. And then they'll go back and put lyrics over it, which is why some of the lyrics don't make sense. A prime example of setting up a good song is, you mentioned earlier, Bobby McFerrin's "Don't Worry, Be Happy" at the beginning is that melodic hook. I mean, it just puts you in a place. That's the hook. Because then he goes into the verse. Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it, but no, for no, don't worry, be happy, which is the hook. But then it goes back into the melodic motif, and you're engaged, and you're walking around like this. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's got you.
Yeah, he's got you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What a lot of people don't know is rappers, a lot of rappers, their cadences, they come up with cadences first and then turn that into lyric. So the music is talking to you even in rap.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I wanted to expand on one thing that Cori said about the arrangement following the vocalist or the lyrics. If every part of the arrangement is supporting the storyline, then you get hit with a wall. I mean, it's just bam, you're just hit with it. But if there's anything in there that's fighting anything else, it's not going to have as good an effect on you as a listener. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing to do. And the people who do it and do it well, they're just absolutely incredible. Bands try to do that. It's very difficult for them to all get along and come up with the right idea because everybody's got to be a star, right? But man, when it happens, it's magic, big magic.
Yeah. I call those hit songs and that magic, I call those metropolitan cities. And
cities?
Yeah, I call them cities because LA's a city, right? So is San Francisco. But in order for me to get to San Francisco, I got to go through Avenal. I got to drive up the 5 and go past Bakersfield. I got to, and those little small cities are also songs. LA's a big hit song because there's so many people that like it. So is San Francisco. In order to get to San Francisco, you got to write all these other songs until you get that hit, and you don't, and by the time it's a hit, you forgot it was a hit. It was probably one of those songs that you didn't like.
Yeah. Somebody was asking some songwriters, how do you know when it's a hit? And of course he said, everything I write's a hit. but then he got serious. He says, well, I don't really, he says, I just got to put it out there and see how people react. I mean,
they choose the hits. Yeah. They choose. You'll know because people will let you know. But if it's a hit to you, because some hits are B-sides. Like I like some of the songs that are very obscure by D'Angelo. Very obscure, like whoa.
If you're too old to know what a B-side is, tell us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Too young, I mean.
I'm telling my age. A B-side is, they used to have records, and side A would be the hit, and you'd see it because of logos, and then you'd turn that record over, and then there would be another song on the other side of that record, or the cassette tape. And a cassette tape is this little apparatus that looks like something you could put in inside your pacemaker. On a pacemaker, that's another thing. But that's the anyway, that's what a B-side. It's more of an obscure song. Like you love Max Martin, so there are probably some Max Martin songs that you like that people maybe not are like, really? You like that song? I'm obsessed with Max Martin. So his catalog. So there are songs that haven't hit with him, but they hit with you because you are what's called a super fan.
Yeah, but I do definitely like the ones that everybody likes.
Right. Well, those accord, and also some of the more obscure songs that haven't hit yet that he does.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say so.
He's only second to the Beatles in record sales. Of songs.
Well, number one to me. So.
No, I mean, no, yeah. Yeah, he's huge. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
So Cori, I've had for years trouble coming up with melodies like what a singer would come up with, and I finally came up with a solution to help me with this. Right? I'm not gonna be singing, but I finally came up with a solution for that helped me, and so on that, my question is, what instruments can you think of that people can play with the same inflections that vocals do, like a saxophone? What other instruments are like that? Like they have this thing that vocals can do?
I think the only instrument that can, because a vocal is a linear instrument, and it can bend seamlessly, and it can go back down seamlessly, and it can chop, it can climb. The guitar does a great job of bending, and it has and it can jump and climb intervals. So that's, if you learn guitar, it's good. The keyboard does it, but you know, with the bender. So I would learn the keyboard and the guitar, because the keyboard is going to give you all the notes as high as the 88 keys and as low as the 88 keys go. So you're getting the whole spectrum. The inflection, the guitar is great with inflection. That's why the guitar is a thinner instrument, but the keyboard is, the chords on a keyboard are fatter. But the guitar for me has more versatility as far as inflections. That's why I bought one and started learning it. It's like, oh yeah, I like this. So
virtually no end to what you can do with those crazy things.
But no end. No end.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Miranda, there you are.
Yes.
Miranda, yes.
I wanted to know what's something singers should know when they first start working with musicians.
Well, that depends on the type of musician. Is this a beginning musician? Is this a musician who's very seasoned? Is it a musician that is you're playing covers with? Or is this a musician that is also a producer that you're writing songs with? Because a beginning producer or a beginning musician may not have all the tools that you need for the music that you're doing, because they're beginner. But a seasoned musician or producer, chances are, if you're working with a producer, they are already acclimated to the type of music that you want to do, or they know something about it. So if you're working with a producer that is seasoned, you just want to bring them your soul. You just like, this is my song. What can you do with it? And before you go to that producer, you need to hear, and musician, you need to hear what it is that they do. You need to hear them produce. You need to hear finished product, especially from a producer. Can I hear something that you've done? A musician, can I hear something that you've recorded, so I can gauge how well you play? Because I've worked with some great musicians, but they can't write. They can't write a letter to their mother. And then I've worked with some musicians who are they're not so great, but the stuff that they come up with is amazing. And it just takes somebody, I'll come in and I'll go, oh, I know what you were playing. Boom, boom. And then they're like, oh my God, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to do. Yeah, I know, I could hear it. So it just depends. Are you a writer, Miranda?
Lyrically, I don't really play too many instruments, but I'm trying to learn.
But you write music. You write your own songs, right?
A little, I think, yeah.
Why do you say a little?
Oh, well, because I don't write the music.
Yeah, but you don't need to write the music. You just need the lyric and the melody.
Yeah.
So you have lyrics and melodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are songs. All those songs need is a support. You know, it just needs the support. So you are a songwriter, are you not?
Yes.
Yeah. So songwriters, they don't need the music yet. They just need, this is my song, and you start singing in the song. And I've been in situations where somebody will just start singing, and then I will find out where it is that they're going, and I will have created a bed for it. I'm like, oh, see, this is all you're doing. So if a musician is worth their weight, you'll start singing and they will find you. They will find you. I've done it. I did it with a Nina Simone song. I forgot how it went. And the girl started singing it and we found it. I was like, oh, and everybody was like, whoa. So a musician that's worth his weight. So yeah, just you don't need to know anything. You just need to know your melody and your lyric, and you need to be in pitch. You're in pitch, and the keyboard player find out what key you're in, and understand where you're going, because basically all songs they either start on the 1 or there's a 2-5-1 that goes back to the 1, and those are all numbers. It's all theory, but there's this one progression that I play. It almost works with every single song on the planet. I'm just like, I can't believe this works. And all I'm doing is descending. I'm just going down. But yeah. So keep writing. Don't ever stop. Don't feel like, oh, because you don't play an instrument that you're not a songwriter. You are. Just start learning an instrument. Play keys. I would say keyboards, or if you play guitar, learn guitar, or both. I have a guitar and I play keys. I've been playing keys way longer than I've been playing guitar. And my first instrument was drums. And then I switched to keyboards and never looked back, because I'm like, oh, I could produce anything if I have keys.
The keyboard lays out really nicely too. You know, every octave is the same.
Yeah.
The guitar is not that way at all.
No, guitar it's actually kind of discombobulated, if you ask me. Like, I don't know where this repeats, and I got to learn all the notes on every bar, on every fret. I'm like, whoa, the notes change. And then when you get up high, it's different than when you're in the middle or when you're down low.
I mean, next time I go to a guitar store, I'm going to ask for a discombobulated guitar. Probably want 10 grand for it. You're too funny.
Oh man. So is there anybody else got any questions? I know we've been on here for like almost 6 hours.
Oh, you have been
3 hours.
involved. Yeah, 3. I mentioned 2 hours, but if everybody's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
The girls from London may want to go to sleep, or
yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
Call it 9. So.
Dave, do you have any questions? You come more from the classical. I know you know a lot more about classical music. Does any of this prompt some questions for you, David?
Okay. The first thing I have as a comment is, this is not just for music, but this is unbelievably life-changing to hear how we can think and just be.
Yeah,
I like that.
I was going to say he's been going to. I think Cori's been going to some some of those self-help things.
No, on that note, I did do Tony Robbins' 21-day challenge, and I learned a lot from that challenge. And I have read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, and I'm currently reading this book. I don't know if you can see it. Oh wait.
The phasing is going in and out.
All right, hold
background.
on. Let me.
Can you read the name of it?
The Art of Letting Go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's there. Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, so that's the book that I'm reading now, and then another friend. Oh, sorry. Another friend sent me a book that's based on the Course in Miracles, and then I read another book, and then you don't misconstrue the title of this book, because it has nothing to do with the title, but and I did at first, and I kind of got excited, but I just read the title of the book is called Making Love to God: The Divine Pathway to Sex. But it's not about sex at all. It's about the preparation with your partner. And I've read that book, and it was like, wow, this is It's just basically centering yourself and preparing yourself on all ends of the spectrum to be with someone. And as artists and writers, we want to be with our audience. We want to connect with them. If we are not connected with ourselves, we cannot give them, oh shit. Oh shit. All right, hold on. We cannot give them how does this
I
work?
like your picture right now, Cori. You're really good looking like that.
As dark as I want to be. What's it? Oh, it's the wrong camera. Oh, here we go.
The women should ask you out at
There
that
we go.
picture.
There we go. Once we are connected with ourselves, then we connect with other people. If we've got issues and things that we are trying to connect, that's what our songs come in. Our songs help us help ourselves, the therapy. And then our songs help us help other people. So that's why people pay money to go see our shows, is because they're getting something out of it. They're like, wow, this person went through this. And what they went through is really helped me. I remember I did a reggae album, and in the reggae album, I had a song called "You Keep Bringing Me Sunshine," and this was years ago. And this kid emailed me. He was like 16 years old. He got my email from the I think it was on Bandcamp, and he emailed me. And he this is what he told me. He said, "I was about to take my life, and I heard your song, and I decided not to do it." And I had no words for that, except I kept thinking, what if I decided this song isn't good enough? I don't want to put it on the record, or anything. But I liked it enough to say, "Oh, we'll put it on the record." And I didn't think it would be a hit, but it touched one person, and it saved his life. It touched one person. If we could just hit one person with what it is that we love to do, then it makes it all worth it. So that's why I say write. If you want to do stuff in TV and film, write your catalog. Make sure your catalog is just vast. Make sure you're protecting your music. Make sure you're registered with a performance right organization. Make sure you're working with your publishing. You have your publishing. Make these things to protect you, because some people, if you're talented, there are people out there who won't tell you you're talented, but will know how talented you are in order to exploit your talent.
The one thing I was going to say is not quite as dramatic as all that, but it's from a voice teacher's perspective. People say, Brad, can I be a star? Do I have the right voice or whatever? And I say, you know what? If Bob Dylan came in to me and I told him he couldn't sing, what did I just do?
Right.
I'm not going there.
Right. And you worked with Anita Baker, and they told her, she said herself, someone told her that she would never make it in the music business.
She would never allow that to happen. That's just, you gotta know the woman. She's a total energy force in herself.
Woo!
And what's really wonderful about her is when she's on stage, she's just the warmest, most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah, I've seen. I saw her at the Hollywood Bowl and different videos. It's like music.
Working with her's a whole nother trip.
Man, yeah. It's a whole nother behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. When you guys talk about Anita Baker, someone told me that she was a mumble singer, and I was like, what are you talking about? And that's one of my iconic singers. Like that's one of my references. And once that was said to me, I went back and listened. I was like, whoa, I had no idea she was mumbling.
Was that the Songstress album?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I worked with her after the Songstress album, and there's an interesting thing about so-called mumbling. She tended to yell some of her high notes, kind of like a cheerleader kind of thing. And when you do that to a word, it changes its color sometimes to the point you can't understand what the word is. So after I worked with her and she stopped that, her main goal was to stay on stage because she was burning her voice out. After we got rid of the straining, then people said, oh, her diction is much better now. Well, it's because the vowel shapes were correct for the word, and therefore they weren't splat, as we call them, and you could understand what she was saying. So I don't know if she was really mumbling as much as she was yelling.
And I knew that there were times that I didn't understand what she was saying, but as a listener, as an audience member, I didn't care. I was into the song, and I caught enough of the lyric and the melody the music making me feel whatever. We were playing. There's a lot of babies made to that Anita Baker stuff. You know, like we were.
She's one of the epitomes of totally being into the song.
Yeah.
Nowhere else. She's in that song. Her and Adele. Every word you can hang on because they're there every second. They're not doing their grocery list. They're not trying to decide what chord they're singing over. They're not listening to a vowel shape. There's no distractions. I like to say that a person like that, if a streaker ran right in front of them, they might react, but it wouldn't really make any difference. They'd still be totally in the song. You can't get them out of it. And that's I think the place where a lot of artists want to be, that maybe don't understand that may be actually the goal. I don't know. You guys might chime in on that one. Because you're more into songwriting than I am. So Cori, Mayat, talk.
I think for songs, the lyric and the melody is everything. If you're getting your song across, like think of the most simple song with this song doesn't even have a hook. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. How old is that song?
I don't know.
Probably 100. Probably
at least.
At least, but it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. How I wonder where you are, up above the sky so high. Where the chickens in his eye, twinkle twinkle little star. Where's the hook? It's
the whole thing. It's got a motif though to it. Ba-da, 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 ba. It's a motif though, right?
I mean, beautifully written, and it's so simple. It's just the minimal amount of information. So okay, twinkle twinkle little star. You're singing about a star, and then you give me a description of your star. It's up above the world so high, and then you give an example, and then you go back down to it. So it's
also ABC, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like JKLMNOP.
Yeah.
Up above the world sky. W, X, Y, and Z. It is. There's probably a bunch of songs written with that melody. But that's the beauty of what we do in reggae. They'll take the same rhythm, the same beat, and they'll write like 5 different songs for it. On this, I work with a reggae artist, and they was we wrote another song with this same rhythm. Like, wait, now that to me is killing creativity because you are in a comfort zone, and you're taking the same song, but you don't need to do that now. You got AI. Type in those lyrics and then put the and then put the reggae vibe over it.
Reggae is still going strong.
Talking about sorry, Maya.
Oh, go ahead.
Maya and I were talking about AI, and there's this little Instagram thing. They're pushing their product, right? And so there's this guy. He's sitting there and he's just kind of hanging there, and then he pushes play on his recording, and of course what he did is he sang into it, but another voice came out.
Oh.
And the voice of course, is really incredible. And so he's dancing around the room like, yeah, check me out. I'm great. I was like, okay, if you put out a record and she's singing, I'm not buying it. I don't know what you're excited about. It's a cute toy. And I know it's a great songwriter's demo tool.
Right.
And I know that LA is kind of freaking out about that, and so is New York with the union beefs and all that. But yeah, I mean, and Maya had what did you say, Maya? Maybe you'd use that Japanese stuff, anime, create an anime character. Maya's really thinking out of the box. This is just really good. But I don't know who's going to be buying AI as a person.
People already do.
Who?
People are into AI big time. And my favorite song last year was an AI song.
Right, but that was created out of history, though, right? I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So, but that's
Yes.
so that's a human still, right? Isn't it?
Right. Right.
But I mean, I'm
So
talking about, okay, Maya, you sing into the mic, and Michael Jackson comes out, and am I going to come out to your concerts? You know?
I would be able to. I'd say yes, because Tupac, when he was dead, when they did that, what's it called, that video hologram?
Yeah.
The future is going to be stuff like that. Like all they have to do is figure out a way to entertain people. And some of these AI songs, the reality is this stuff is so good and getting so good that singers are going to have to up their game. The singers who are not really putting in the effort, if I present a demo with AI and you can't beat that AI, you know, you're going to have to level up. Even
create a new standard is what you're saying, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, put feet to the fire, as we say, like AI on music production. I've got some stuff I'm sitting there blown away. And if the music producers, the composers are, they may have to step their game up if I present a demo with the music jamming and the composer was going to take it easy and not really give me what, you know, the effort that I need.
Could that be kind of a Cook Carell thing? Could that be kind of like, you know, you do put an AI thing and then sell it to the studio, and then they'll assign a singer, and then
Cook Carell will give it that
exactly
person
what Cook would say, right?
Yeah, Cook Carell would give. Yeah. So right now I have like
that's a vocal producer, by the way, everyone. Cook
yeah.
Carell, terrific.
It's like when the mastering AI stuff came out, the mastering world lost their minds. But people are using this stuff to this day, a whole bunch of songs out using it. The reality is not all humans, when they master, give you a good master. They might master an album or record and take away from what was there, make people feel less. And so what happens is if you do that and I do some automated thing for 10, 20, whatever bucks, and I do 5 of them and one of them kills yours, all of a sudden you have to start competing with that stuff. You have to up your game. And so like if I go to write a song right now and a singer's giving me problems and I can put the stuff in AI and it not give me a problem, right, it not argue back, it not have ego and fear and all that stuff, and I can get up at 3 a.m. and start doing this stuff, whatever, I can now get on with my creativity. And then the artist has to come in and perform and outdo that AI. The AI, it's that type of thing. And I'm telling you, AI
creativity is everything. If you can't create, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, and I can use the AI example as a bar, and they have it now to where I can come up with a melody, then give that melody words. I sing it with my emotions, inflections, whatever, turn that into some other singer, and then present that to an artist and say, okay, now you have to sell this to the audience. You have to sell yourself, sell this. That's a dope way to use this stuff. But even without that, humans just want to they like what they like. They're going to be entertained. And if something comes out AI and they like it and there's no human singing at all and they like it, they like it. Maybe we'll use it for cartoons. Maybe we'll have cartoons that are singing like a cartoon show and they're jamming, kicking everybody's butts as cartoons. Remember Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to do a little plug here. So Mayat's going to be doing one of these where he's the guest star in September. Late September, of course, I'll announce that. But I really love Mayat because maybe he doesn't have a Grammy and blah, 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 but there's very few people that know more about the music industry than he does. And I'm not talking about just like the business part. I mean, the artistry, the songwriting, the arranging. You know, I'm sure Cori could back me up on that. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a great one. It's going to be a great show when he has the spotlight.
Yeah.
What it is, Brad, is I'm a perpetual student and I'm constantly trying to learn. And my thing was to learn and teach. And so in the hood, we have the have-nots, and I try to get stuff to the have-nots. So I go and learn and then teach. But now I'm like, okay, I got to learn and start doing and putting stuff out. It's not just learning and teaching. I'm going hard now, start trying to put stuff out.
Listen to the songwriters. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, you and Cori too. I mean, I keep coming to you and Cori. When we were getting the Google Hangouts back in the day. You guys, one of the things that I would say, all right, I'm going to throw Brad under the bus, because if Cori and Brad are dope, I can throw them into a situation and they just react and do their thing, and they kick butt. They succeed, and every time they succeed. I got Cori with a young lady named Keisha Eisler, and I had the lyrics. It was my lyrics, and I said, "Hey, Cori, I'm having problems with a singer," which I actually wasn't. She's my favorite singer. And I just threw them together and had them work it out. And in 15 minutes, she had singing like 5 different genres live, just reacting, her and Cori doing their thing. And that's what it is. Cori's dope. You throw him and put him in if it's Kung Fu, you throw him in a bar with some bikers, some Hells Angels, and watch him do his Bruce Lee. You just throw you guys under the bus and you guys excel.
Well, we're colleagues and we've paid our dues, haven't we, Cori?
I mean, yeah, still paying dues, and
I like to say though, if you pay your dues, they'll pay you back.
that's it. It owes you.
Okay, we've been hogging this. Anybody else? David, I mean, really, do you have a question?
I don't have a question. I'm just like at the place in my life where I came from classical training in high school, things like that. And I'm getting used to the idea that singing is not just a bunch of kinesthetic riddle exercises.
This now here's where David shines. Physics, sound physics, and sound physics. We had a great conversation about that. But with kinesthetic meaning, of course, he was talking about the biology of singing, but
right,
or the physiology of it. We would put you on about that, David. We would put you on about that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
There's a lot involved in vocals, in singing. I mean, your head, all the canals and the holes in your face. They want you to where you put your face to get the right projected sound. How are your chest and your just your whole body. I'm like, no, I just want to play notes like this. Because then now it's what you eat before you sing, how much water you drink before you sing, your warm-ups. And these are the things that it all helps for the end result is the only thing that counts. Like a lot of horn players, they use their whole body. Especially horn players, tuba players, it's all about protecting that armature. That lip, you cannot get a cut. You mess up that armature, you mess up your whole tone. And Louis Armstrong used to get calluses on his lips and used to cut them off with a razor blade.
Oh.
I'm like, bro.
Well, I'll tell you, there's times I think maybe I should just go back to being a guitar player. Being a singer is kind of a pain in the ass.
It is. I mean, I'm glad they're singers because I don't have to do it.
That's right.
But I've even started working on vocals and just the exercises. And I tell singers, even if you aren't singing that day, just still do your warm-ups because, again, it's cartilage. It's not bone.
Essentially, you call it cartilage. I think of it more as ligament, but
ligament, yeah.
It's similar, yeah. But,
what is that stuff?
When you think catgut, when you think catgut for guitars, think ligaments for vocals. Muscle is not a great vibrator.
No.
You gotta have something flexible but stiff enough.
Yeah.
Our vocal cords. A man's A440 or any A440s. That vocal cords are vibrating 440 times a second, each one. Those puppies are moving, and you get some of these girls that are going 2 octaves above that. It's like, whoa.
Wow, yeah, then do the math on that.
Yeah. Bring in the algebra.
I'm so sorry. I need to step out, but thank you again for everything. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming, Olga.
All right. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Here, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, anybody else, or should we wrap it up? Okay, so Cori, if we want to get in touch with you, if we want to write you a letter and drive you crazy and be a big fan and say, hey, I want to know this, I want to know that, how are we going to get a hold of you if you want us to?
I'll type my name. Oh yeah, just type my email in the chat, and then this is my Instagram.
Now, do you want that information in the podcast, or do you want to keep it in the chat?
Then you put it in the podcast.
Okay, I'll have to say it or
You have to
somehow I'll
say
have
it.
to
I have to
type
say,
it in
oh,
or
Corey.
something.
You know what? Just kids, keep it in the chat.
Okay.
That's go so I don't get any spam.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Smart.
But yeah, my website is the Cori at the onemasterfader.com is the website. And that's my Instagram. So yeah, any questions or comments or consultations, we can work that out. I appreciate everybody coming and just don't stop doing music. Tell a friend. It's one of those music is one of those things where we need it, we need it. It's one of the probably one of the only things that hasn't been there's laws to protect the writers, but in certain countries a certain kind of music is banned.
Yeah.
You can't hear. We don't have that in certain countries. You don't have the freedom that you do here. It's musically. It's a good thing we don't have to pay there's no music insurance. My song didn't hit.
So, Iana, are you having trouble seeing the chat? Can everybody see the chat, or do I need to change you to something?
I
Yeah,
can't see it.
Yeah, I can't see the email address or the website or the Instagram in the chat.
Oh, you know why? Because I sent it as a direct message to Brad.
There you go.
Oh, right.
So Brad is the only one who can see it. Hold on, let me type it again. All right, let's see. How come it's not letting me
Brad has it blocked to where you can only send a direct message to him.
Oh, I do? How do I change that? Does anybody know?
No clue.
Oh, crap.
You can see your messages. Oh.
Cori, are you okay with him putting it in the actual video that gets posted on the net, like typing it?
No, we don't want to do that. We just have
Nope.
it.
Okay.
Isn't there? See, there's a little arrow next to chat. Hide chat.
It says
hide chat. So what would it let me do? Show chat previews. Well, we can try that. I don't know. Sorry, you guys. I'll have to work on that for next time. I don't.
Or just send everybody. You've got my email, and you're in touch with everyone else in here. Miranda, Natasha, and Iona. Or you could say my Instagram. I don't mind that. My Instagram is Cori Hypothesis at Cori Hypothesis. So CORI and then HYPOTHEISS SIS.
Yeah, like in science, hypothesis.
Like hypothesis. Yeah. Some people are like, what? At Cori Hypothesis, and you can contact me through there. And if you contact me, if you send me a message through there, I'll send you my email. And I appreciate everybody for coming, because what you're getting out of music it's encouraging.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you, Brad.
Podcasts don't necessarily have question askers, but I love having question askers. It opens up so much stuff. Yeah. We all really appreciate you. You're part of it. We're not going to send you a royalty check, but you're part of
this. It's a beautiful thing. It all makes music.
Yep.
And I'm gonna come and come back for Mott's. And then I want to come back for David's too, because physics. I have an interest in physics. A drummer that I played with has a degree in physics, and it's just so interesting how the world works. Because sound is physics, is it not? Is it like if you shot a gun in space, is that gun gonna make a noise?
There's no air to carry the sound.
So
you
won't
hear anything.
As soon as it hits the atmosphere, is there sound?
What was that? I didn't hear part of that.
There's no atmosphere. Is there sound?
As soon as it hits atmosphere, is that when we start hearing sound?
If you make the gunshot or whatever it is happen in the atmosphere, then you can possibly have sound. If you, it would be helpful to have a person somewhere nearby with eardrums so that they could actually hear it. Then you would have sound.
Yeah,
So
you know that saying, if a tree falls in the forest, nobody's there to hear it, did it make a sound?
that's true.
There's interesting thing about that. The word sound, okay, implies someone heard it. The word sound makes no sense if there's no one listening. Does it make vibrations? Yes. Does it make a sound? Well, I don't know. If no one ever hears it, how can it be a sound, right? Is that right, David?
I'm not sure exactly how everyone uses the words, but I use the words kind of like that. If there's a vibration, whether or not someone was around to experience it, I'll say there are vibrations in the air, or I might cheat and say there are sound waves in the air. And then if there is someone near, or audio waves, something like that, but then if there's someone there who can actually have their eardrums vibrate and have some subjective experience, then they can experience sound, then I will feel more comfortable saying there's sound. Usually this doesn't come up as an issue because every time, like 99% of the time when I need to talk about sound, usually there is an atmosphere there and there's usually a witness.
Right.
Sound is it actually being translated? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to look up what the word actually means. I guess.
Like your brain actually, when your brain actually translates it, because you can have vibrations hit you all day that you don't even hear, even in this atmosphere. There's vibrations that'll hit you and you don't hear it. Sound is actually it being translated.
Well, even light is a vibration.
Yeah. Yes.
Wait,
Okay.
Light's a vibration, and the light travels through space. What is it traveling through? If it's a vibration,
it travels through emptiness. Unlike sound, it does not require a mechanical medium to convey it.
Sound and light are both vibrations. Absolutely.
So if I'm traveling at the speed of light, and I'm traveling next to light, and I see the light next to me, and I shoot my gun, is that gun gonna go faster than the speed of light, or will I be looking next to the bullet?
The bullet's not gonna go faster than the speed of light. Also, I don't think I can you can't get yourself up to being at the speed of light. It would take an infinite amount of energy to do that. Okay. I'm gonna punt because this is actually very important that I should know this, but I've forgotten how to do this efficiently. But I can punt and give you like an indirect answer. The way the speeds work, whether you're going really fast compared to someone else or like crawling at a snail's pace, when you turn on your flashlight and send some light coming out of it, either way, that light is coming out as far as that other person is concerned at the speed of light, and as far as you're concerned, also at the speed of light. And it's extremely counterintuitive. It's not like the way our biology thinks things should move. But I'm sure everyone really wanted to know that.
I mean, he asked the question.
Yeah. Well, all these things can help write songs, believe it or not. Like,
that's true.
All the information goes into it's like you do research for a script or a movie. You do research because I'm about to say this sentence in this song and I want it to make sense to, so that's why reading is important. Some great songwriters read or they watch old films. Like I worked with a songwriter, she was brilliant. I was heavy in the dubstep at one point in time, and I was working on a dubstep track. And she was sitting there, and she was like, "I already have the verse." I was like, "No, you don't, because it's not a pop song. It's a dubstep track." And she said, "I already have the verse." I was like, "Let me hear what you got." And she blew my mind because I said, "How do you come up with these lyrics?" She watches a lot of old 1920 movies. Charlie Chapman, and then up to the 30s and 40s and 50s, and you listen to the dialogue, and she listens to and so I started watching, but some of those movies are just straight up boring. I'm sorry. But if that's where getting her inspiration from, then okay, everybody's different.
Subjective there. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I will officially say happy evening to you all, and to all a good night, and sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as you fall asleep.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Guys.
Good night.